Here we go, chat.
This was our year. We running the game, but this is rushing the feet.
I stole it!
On every play. The chances.
Nah, it's how it's done.
Doing it for the team. This is our moment. This is our time.
Oh my gosh, I'm just built different.
Time to rise.
What? Yeah.
It's time to rise.
I love this game. I love this game.
This is our time. It's our time.
Welcome in, everybody. We are so back for the Content Creator Cup on the 1.6 patch. My name's Lizadeth, aka Liz, or as the real ones know me, Lizard. And I'm joined today with the phenomenal guys, Mr. Ego and Mr. F6.
Very happy to be here, Liz. Very happy to be here. Another amazing day for Predecessor play. We got a lot of things in 1.6 to break down. They're going to be a lot of fun to see, depending on how these content creators decide they want to use them.
Indeed, there you go. We got a lot going on. It's a huge patch. Huge shout out to MOBA with 1.6 release. We're definitely gonna get into a lot more of what has been introduced a little bit later on, but I'm excited to be here. The second Creator Cup from MOBA themselves. This cannot be a better day to start the weekend, of course, on this Saturday.
Yes, and I think the best part about this is we have 5 great teams full of content creators that you may know, some that you might not, and now you'll be able to watch their content, but in a competitive setting, watching the new hero Yurei and some augments.
Yuri has been so incredibly fun to play. I've been piloting her a little bit throughout the jungle, in the mid lane a little bit. I like to try some of the weirder stuff, and that in compilation with the augments that were added into 1.6 has completely expanded the way you can play your favorite heroes within Predecessor. It's been a blast, and as I said a little bit earlier, I'm looking forward to seeing how these characters are going to be played today.
I mean, when you talk about those augments, you have so many options, 3 per character, and you have about 40 something there. That's just so many to go through. I don't know how they did it, but it's absolutely amazing. And not only that, they added a new Nitro game mode, kind of just get a little bit more of a quick play going on through 1.6. Just another great add-on there.
I do think that Nitro's been really fun. You want to talk about a quick game, it's actually more viable now to just get on and actually play a quick game and then get off. Phenomenal addition there. But there is something I do want to discuss here real quick as we go into this, is how this weekend's going to be set up.
Most definitely, these teams are going to be going head-to-head, best-of-1 games up into the finals, which, unless I'm wrong, will be a best-of-3. A couple favorites to keep your eye on as we're going to have the Content Creator Cup winners, Shinsby Ghost Wolves, returning, seeing if they could possibly go back-to-back.
I mean, they did an exceptional job with the first one, being able to come out on top, getting their spray inside the game of their logo. But like you said, a best-of-1 series throughout this entire weekend, not only today, but tomorrow as well. This is going to be a double elimination bracket. So even if you lose one, you do got a chance to come out from the mud to be able to get yourself back into the place to fight for that championship if you are able to make it.
I do love a good come-up story too, so I'm kind of here for this setup. So yes, as they said, if you're in the loser bracket, you can still win all the way up through the loser bracket and crawl yourself out of the mud into that final position, which again, I'm huge on comeback stories, so I think that could be a phenomenal way for the second Content Creator Cup.
Most definitely, Liz. And I'm gonna go and reveal my dark horse early. I think the Cosmic Expansion show led squad of Event Horizon is gonna be packing some serious heat throughout this game. That my boy Mercy, more than likely coming out throughout the jungle, and he has that killer instinct. If he's able to materialize it within this game, I mean, some of these other content creators might have to watch their back.
I mean, Shimmy Ghost Wolves definitely want to look to repeat as well. There you go. I love Cosmic, but I mean, prior champions coming in, they have to be the favorite that they pick up. Also, one of our favorite content creators, Nori Astronomical, as you guys might know her. So she's looking to have the console debut here for this Creator Cup. See how they are able to actually mount up and match against some of these PC players.
Another great team that we also have coming back is Bear Force One with Mr. Grizzly there in the piloting seat, who has Crazy Fool, Electric Boogie, and Justro, and the soccer fan. I didn't want to mess that one up. But another returning team there as well, who also did really good in the first set. And so I'm super excited to see this one come back as well.
Most definitely, and kind of hitting on one of the last couple teams here, leaving maybe the best for last. We have our boy from the PCC, Secret Salsa, leading up his side chips alongside a very popular content creator a lot of you guys know, Pinzo Dunzo, more than likely going to be piloting throughout the mid lane for this squad, as they're going to be looking to take down possibly Shinbi's Ghost Wolves.
And they're looking for it, right? But we can't forget about the lore introductive of this team, Ash Karaz. I hope I'm saying that right. Army, they're coming in here with a little bit of that lore power to kind of strive themselves up. A newer team, the Ogre, Mila, some content creators, you know, with some Jay, Pablo Escobar over there being able to come on in. But man, this roster is set up to bring some new and unique takes towards this 1.6 patch. And I'm very excited to see all 5 of these teams really come together and see what they can show us here today.
I do think one of the most things I'm excited about here is that we do have the returning champion, Miss Lita Games, here for a captain's interview before we get into our first draft. Hi, Lita.
Hi. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, we can. Lita, welcome in, welcome in.
Awesome.
It's so very good to have you. It's no mystery upon us that you guys won the last Content Creator Cup. Is there anything in 1.6 you might be looking to utilize in order to make a repeat, or are you just going to be playing around some team synergy?
I mean, the team synergy is so good. We all said, you know, if we were going to come back a second time, we'd want to come back as a team. Obviously, unfortunately, we don't have Joey, but we have the amazing Nori with us that we're so thrilled about. In terms of 1.6, I think it's just going to be really fun to play with those augments and see how dynamic you can make the game. So just some vibes and some fun augments.
Some vibes and some fun augments. Definitely awesome to hear. I have a question here for you, Lita. Going into this, I mean, you guys are the prior champions. I mean, you guys definitely have a little bit of a pedestal you guys are standing on. I know there's a little bit of a roster change, but how are you guys looking at the competition here heading into the second content creator tour?
Yeah, I mean, the competition is definitely stiff. All the teams look fantastic. You know, a little bit of a shift. We have had to move things around. But, you know, honestly, we're just kind of here to have fun and play some games and hopefully we win. But, you know, if we don't, it's still great along the way. And all the teams are so strong. So it's just going to be a blast.
Awesome.
Lita, first of all, you look so good. Good for you. Oh my goodness, you look so good. Respectfully, chat, she looks so good. But my big thing is as a woman, and we did our game night, our girls' game night not too long ago. I'm so excited to see that Nori's on the team. Was that a decision that was made almost immediately once Joey decided to part ways with the team? Was that like, I gotta get my girl Nori? What was that conversation kind of like?
Yeah, no, so it was super funny. We were actually, the initial Content Creator Cup we drafted, and this one we were assigned teams, and I know that they were expanding to console this time because unfortunately first Creator Cup was just PC, and I was like, oh man, you know, we got Joey and that's so great, but I'd really love to have Nori on the team, and we just happened to luck out. She's just so positive, so great, and she also really undersells herself in her role. She is quite strong in her role, so I'm really excited for everybody to see what she's capable of.
Yes, I'm so excited. Yes, that's so exciting.
Yeah, speaking of some of your teammates here, we know Nori most definitely is going to be playing a big role. However, pivoting to some returning members, Kev Kaioken recently made his way to the #1 on the ranked charts. Are you guys going to be looking at him for anything in particular, or are you just asking him to do what he normally does, get comfortable, and hopefully help you guys win some games?
I mean, you just kind of have to let Kev be Kev. He's such a great guy, such a special guy, you know, really. He's an amazing player, but also just the vibes that he brings are immaculate. You know, He's just got such a way with people, and you just gotta let Kev be Kev. You just gotta put him in a situation and set him up and let him shine. You know, last time he had a spectacular game on Revenant, and Revenant's kind of is not a super commonly picked carry at the time, but you know, he polished him up and let him shine, and you just gotta let Kev do Kev.
Fantastic,
Awesome.
fantastic.
Kev just being Kev. That is definitely a statement. Excuse me. That definitely describes Kev, right? But I do have one last question here for you, Lita. Having Survivor on your team as well, somebody that's been able to play in a lot of the highest level of competition with Predecessor itself, how is that having him on your team to kind of create like a different outlook heading into like more of a fun tournament?
Yeah, I mean, Survivor's just so amazingly. He's our shot caller. He kind of wrangles us. You know, we're a bunch of kindergartners, and he's the teacher, being like, "Go here, do this." That you know, we were practicing without him for a little bit yesterday, and we were all kind of like, "Oh, I miss Survivor." Survivor just really rallies us together, and you kind of need. And I think that's why we work so well as a team. You have that mesh of personalities that everyone can fill a different role, and Survivor's just like that firm hand that keeps you on the rails, keeps you focused on what you got to be focused on. And I'm just so grateful to have him on the team. He really is a spectacular jungle, and you know, maybe they should consider that role for him for PCC as well. Not that he's not a great carry, but he is really a fantastic jungler.
We'll definitely have to see. We'll find out for sure.
Yeah, that's so awesome. I love that dynamic. I love a bunch of fun people, and you know, the one jungler that's like, "Come on, guys, get it together. We're ganking." Well, thank you so much, Lita. We're so excited to see you in gameplay. Of course, I know y'all get the first game as a bye, so congrats. Y'all get to kind of sit back and watch some of the games and kind of pick some stuff apart. And we will see y'all later. Okay.
All right. Thank you so much, guys. I'll see y'all soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
What a phenomenal time. I love Lita. So that was so awesome. I am really excited to see them in this new lineup going forward. But as I said, they have a bye this first two games, if I'm not mistaken. So they will be playing the winner of, I think, is it the first game or the second game?
Yeah, they only have
If I
one bite,
recall
so they should be able to play within the first one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, most indeed. And speaking of being able to play within that first game, we know they have the bye, but some of these other teams do not. I'm going to be honest, F6. I've already revealed my trump card, my little bit of my dark horse. You said you might be sticking with the champions before we get too far into the program. Are you going to be sticking with that, man?
I'm gonna stick with it. I think they just, like Lita was saying, they have a phenomenal chemistry, and you've seen that throughout their gameplay in the last Content Creator Cup. So I'm excited. I really think they have what it takes.
Yes, and you know, I am a big fan of Lita, and I love Nori, so I really am hoping that they do go ahead and pull this one out. But our first lineup today is going to be Salsa and his side chips and Ash Karath. So these two new teams that we are having in this Content Creator Cup tourney are going to be duking it out, best of one immediately out of the gate.
Oh man, this is such an exciting game to have for game one that I'm looking forward to seeing our casters take on, because we have some familiar and newer names. We got the content creators, the captain, Salsa, Ogier, being able to help these teams assemble and more than likely setting up the scrims so they have the best chance at winning. But we also have some old PCC competitive favorites in Grady and Pinzo being on either of these teams.
Yeah, and I really think, like Lita was saying, Survivor being part of the PCC was kind of the person that corrals everybody on in. So I'm expecting for both Pinzo and Grady to be that for their teams as well. And the rest of these content creators kind of just follow their lead and enjoy the experience of this competitive nature. But I think this one's definitely going to be a close one. We talked about how both these teams are new. So being able to kind of get your feel for it and still have the opportunity to kind of, even if you lose this one, fight through that loser bracket, I think is going to show a lot for us in this first matchup.
And, you know, let's go ahead and get into this draft and see what's going on. One thing I do want to mention as we're going in is that Yurei is non-bannable and she can be mirrored. So we are going to see a lot of her.
We are definitely going to see.
Most definitely, we are going to be seeing a lot of Yuri more than likely, as it looks like we have this draft already prepped up for us here. We're going to be seeing a Yuri on both sides of these teams, seeing that they are not able to be banned, and both teams want to capitalize on how potent the new character is.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to be able to see that mirror here coming out from both of these teams. They're going to be able to have that because she is not ban locked. You're able to mirror pick it, and she's not bannable. So we get to see it on both ends here, kind of seeing how different players kind of like her play style, how they're going to play her through. And we get to see a lot of these different augments as well going throughout all these heroes.
I think what's super exciting for me going forward is to see how these heroes are going to be played with the augments. I do love Yurei content and gameplay, but what makes this super exciting now is the hundreds of ways that you can now build and play these heroes. So, we could sit here and say, well, we have Howie and he's going to do this, but now with certain augments, is that how he's going to be played?
I'm not too sure about how it's, but I do have a little bit of an inclination for the Lady of the Hour with this Yuri pick. I'm more than likely anticipating us to see the ult augment, allowing her to be able to get 10% mitigation for every hero she catches within it, but also a flat reduction for that ulti, which we have seen, I'm sure, in our ranked and our casual games and our nitro games now, is incredibly potent and can completely turn the tide of some of these team fights.
Oh yeah, it's a nasty augment to put on her, but I'm definitely worried about the CC on the side. All the Salsa and his side chips here, they have that Richter, they have the Drongo Silence, and we know Richter can also lock you down with that Subjugate or the Colossal Blow utilized there to kind of get you away from that team fight. So, but if you look at the side of Ashkarat's army here, they really don't have a lot to shut down the other Yuri on their team. So there's going to be a little bit of world there to kind of worry about. Aurora might be the only saving grace to really stop her from kind of pushing into the enemy team.
I also see the Sevrog over there, and something that we've seen on Predecessor's page quite often is this man needs an MLB contract stat. So that's going to be an interesting thing to see potentially come out here. But all in all, who are we really favoring here? I know F6 kind of said he really is eyeballing that Salsa and his side chips, but Ego, I'm kind of curious, where are your thoughts on this team play?
I'm going to be honest, man. I'm a salsa lover. I'm a Gretty enjoyer. And despite that, Ashcraft's army is still going to be getting my vote. I think Iggy is so incredibly potent on this patch, especially with that augment that allows him to get that fourth turret down in combination with Yuri, the safety that FaZe is going to be able to provide. There's just so many things that Ashcraft's army have that can save them or take over an objective or team fight. And I think if they play it well, they have a draft that can win.
100%, man. You bring up a lot of valid points there, Ego, but one thing you're forgetting about is the big man Richter himself. If he's just allowed to get a Whiplash, everything just goes out the window. You get picked apart. You're like, oh, well, there's that. Hopefully I don't die here. But if you do, that just gives you a numbers advantage for the side of Salsa and the side chip. So I think that's going to be the most important factor there is going to be that Richter. And that is why I think I'm going to still have to stick with Salsa and the side chips here. If they're able to hit one Whiplash before any big team fights or before a big objective, I think they're going to be able to come out here, even though those 4 turrets are definitely the most annoying thing I've ever seen in 1.6.
Yes, I do agree there. There's nothing, honestly, I hate more than seeing a turret or being pulled halfway across the map. But lo and behold, chat, go ahead and drop down below who you think takes this. Again, this is an all or nothing game here. If they lose, they are done for this tournament. But we're going to go ahead and pass it on down to our casters for this first set, Mr. Lance and Mr. Ritter.
Hey, thank you so much to our desk. I am Lance Cecil, and it is always terrific to share the screen with my buddy Ritterific. Rit, how are we today?
I'm feeling fantastic, Lance. I'm excited for this, for the creators, for the community, and just for the competitive scene in general. Though this is a for fun environment, you do want that opportunity to put your name out there and say, hey, we got this in front of everybody. We want to let you know that we're just as good as a content creator as we are a player. I do love these matchups in the teams. I have a huge shout out to all of them. I will say we saw Ego pick the side of the Ashcraft army. I think I'm going to stick with Salsa and his chips here. I think they got a lot of CC, a pretty big front line. I think there's just a lot of opportunity for them to kind of to blow up the opposing team. I don't think you fear Iggy's turrets too much, when you got that huge front line and you can just solo him out real quick and then start rotating your damage around.
Yeah, I could never live it down if I didn't pick Salsa, who is a super good buddy of mine. But we are going to jump straight into this. We have the army versus the Chips. It looks like it will be Ogier's team on the blue side that we will be following as we're going to start showcasing a little bit of this beautiful Aurora skin.
Yeah, and I expect to see a lot of really unique skins throughout the course of this. These creators do have the opportunity to utilize any of the skins that they have, and I would expect most of them at this point, being level 3 creators to level 2 creators, to want to show off those skins to the community. They have done a fantastic job with those in this patch, as well as those augments that everyone has been talking about. Really excited to see this thing kick off, get these teams to break off these early game jitters, and see who wants to take control of this tempo early.
Oh, Salsa doing an early spray down here as he is piloting this Sevarog. 2 orbs and an Iggy face, and Ure now on both of these jungles. Didn't get a quick chance to check these augments out, but I do know she has one that allows her to get extra bounces and 1 extra ranged attack. A lot of people favoring that in the jungle to help with that early game clear. Try to get through it a little bit quicker, get yourself up to that level 3, unlock that full kit, get all of those dashes off. And it'll be interesting to track both of these Yuris and see if they play any different or if they kind of fall into the same play style. And we do have the same augment. It looks like it is the ultimate one that Ego was alluding to on the desk earlier.
Yeah, and that Soul Weaver augment is very strong, but as we talk about some of the augments here, Lance, the one that I really want to point out is we talked so much stressors into that duo lane where we said Rancherito and JC Wolf would be able to come at you with the Richter and the Drango having that, utilize the cooldown for that quick ult to be able to get out there as a shrapnel cannon. But I think we really need to take a look at a second to focus on the Twin Blast. If you're running that Grenadier perk and your phase is running that Essence Stream, we saw it previously in matches we were able to cast, can be very dominant. You can get a lot of pressure and keep the foot on the throttle throughout the course of the early game in that duo lane. And that's something you want to have if you're JC Wolf. You want to be able to put this pressure on early, get yourself some kills, get your team an advantage, and start taking control of the match before things get a chance to get out of control.
Right, and even if they do get out of control, the noise starts getting loud. They do have the double silence, the library lane, the classic lane with that Richter and the Drongo on the side of Salsa and his side chips. Lots of way to stop people from casting abilities, which is a good way to stop this phase from doing all of those annoying pulls and keeping this Twin Blast on that leash that can keep him safe, allow him to play aggressively, knowing that he basically has an extra blink in his back pocket with that phase attached to him.
One thing that I would like to point out personally, Lance, is the matchup in the jungle. We talked about returning PCC champions or PCC players into this PCG tournament. I love the fact that Grady, we had assumed, would be in the jungle there, but I like the idea of trying to lay the counter there with Pinzo. We're used to seeing Pinzo there in the mid lane, piloting that mid lane, usually with the Bellica. Surprised to not see him in there, but I am excited to see him give this attempt with the Yuri. I know that character has a high skill, and I would love to see him lay down some damage.
Oh, it comes early, but it's just going to be a little bit of an exchange of health bars. They are going low on this side. It's going to be Iggy who's going to go put him on the board. That is going to be first blood going over to one of the Yuris. Now they're just throwing kunes at each other, but neither one able to get that last blow onto it. It'll be a 1-for-0 trade to start the Creator Cup off in the mid lane. Oh, the back gets stopped too. That's dirty.
Hey, you got to do whatever you can to lay a little bit of stall on that. You do lose the Iggy there. It was a very, good exchange. You almost secure the kill on Howie. The counter gank coming in for the opposing Yuri goes very well as we see a little bit of action breaking out here in the duo lane. Just a little bit of poke, get that posture, lay a little bit of damage down early. So if you can and you are able to lay that hook, maybe you can get a quick blow up on the Twin Blast here. Like, so far, so good. The big role for this duo lane, like you had mentioned, is going to be that silence. Are they able to lay those chains down to prevent that phase from laying a pull or laying a blind when she gets in that early encounter? I think that if things go as they are, should feel pretty confident in the Drongo Richter duo lane, but I wouldn't count out the phase in Twin Blast.
So the laning phase portion of this is going to go in favor of the Twin Blast into phase. Playing Richter into phase is just a terrible experience. Even with that 10% extra range to the hook with the new augments that came in 1.6, it is so difficult to be able to pull and completely blow somebody up while within lane. But that power will start to come once we get into these groups around objectives, those big 5v5 fights around the pits and everything, where the skewer can be utilized more, and you can be going for targets that aren't attached to phase with that pull.
Absolutely correct on that one, Lance. That is going to be the big choke point here. If you're on the side of the Salsa and his side chips, you want to be able to lay down a massive chain of CC, whether that's a Sevarog subjugate into that skewer or a Riplash to the mass damage coming down from the Howie on the Make It Rain. Maybe he's utilizing that augment to give him that extra movement speed. We talked about how productive that can be in getting forward. And I think that if you have confidence in that matchup and that you can lay those CCs, you have to have a lot of confidence you can win with it. You can tell that this team that has a lot of thrill. They do believe it can work. Very much so, a lot of confidence in this composition.
Right, and speaking of confidence, people getting close to level 6, which is going to make people feel a lot more confident to take these fights, to start these engagements, and this is where you start to see action. There are a lot of power in the ultimate of all of the members of this team. The shrapnel cannon, the skewer, the make it rain. I'm sorry, I don't remember what Yuri's ult is named, and then the colossal blow, and then on the other side, you got the cryosism. You got Yuri's ult, you've got the belch from it, you've got the hyperflux, you got the ventilate. There's so much power. We do have a gank over here onto Salsa in the side lane, gonna eat the cryosystem, gonna get frozen on the backside. Yuri comes in with another dash. The ult does go a little wide. Salsa running for his life. Your scoop, buddy, you got to get out. The flash comes through. He uses the slither to get himself into the jungle. Will he be able to chase him down? Subjugate goes wide as well, and he is running, but I believe it might be into the arms of Iggy. Yuri going to pick that one up and not our kill score up at 1 apiece.
Great play there to get the collapse. You did have to expend some blinks to get the exchange to secure the seals. We see some trouble for FaZe here in the duo lane, Lance. The blink comes out. Not going to secure a kill. Gotta love that short blink timer on that blind for the FaZe. You get yourself escaped out there as we see Yuri getting active as well.
Oh, huge ultimate pulls both of them in FaZe. Going to be taken down at the end of that as well. So far, 3 kills, all 3 of them coming from the team. It's Yuri.
Yeah, Lance, and as you said, that Soul Storm, that ultimate from the Yuri, so strong. That ability to pull the opposing team back in. If you don't have a dash to get yourself out of there right away, you're at the mercy of being caught up in a lot of CC. And we're seeing some great exchanges. I love the high skill ceiling of Yuri. I love the strength and potential that she has right now. And I know there's a lot of people saying that she might be a little strong, but even when they tone her back, you're still going to have those players that understand that kit very well. They're very rhythmic with how they put those abilities together. And I believe that there is a lot of potential for a lot of exciting plays with this new character.
Hey, she's not strong. You're just weak. We love seeing what we are so far through this matchup early. 1-2, nobody getting... Oh, actually, Fangtooth got taken by Salsa and his side ships after that engage where they picked the FaZe off as well. So, pretty good early game coming out of them. They got that 1 kill lead. They've got that 1 Fangtooth lead. How do we transition into the middle part of this game, Rit?
I think here, as we stand, you want to try to prep yourself for that mini prime. You want to be able to get that preferably in the hands of one of those 2 offlaners. If you're on the side of Salsa and his side chips, you definitely want that on the Sevarog. If you're on Ashcraft's army, you want to get that to the Aurora. You want to hopefully get some dominance in that solo lane. We know the advantage for a solo laner can be very dominant throughout the Corso match, especially when those rotations begin to happen in this mid portion of the game. As we see a light exchange coming out, Sevarog playing active, not much fear into the Aurora right now. Got to be cautious, though. Those 2 Yuris floating both nearby. They know they want to prep up for this mini prime. They know the importance of that objective.
Right, and hey, really quick, I do want to just take a quick pause. We're going to come over to our cams really quick so that we can get the player names put up onto the broadcast for all of you. That is for all of you. That is for the content creators so that we can, show them off, give the people who are getting the kills their credit. That's also for me and Rit, so we know who the heck is doing what they are. But so far, early in this game, Salsa and his side chips have a tiny little bit of an advantage, but really not enough to say that they're in control of this game. I just posed the question to you about how we transition into this mid game. What objective do you expect them to go for next, and what do you think could be a potential turning point in this?
The clear shot here is you definitely want to go for that mini prime. Getting that first one and getting that global gold to your team is very important, but I think the big one and the one that me and you always love to talk about is that second Fangtooth when it comes. That additional movement speed is so important. It's so crucial, especially in a game that only is picking up its pace more and more as we go.
Right, and now we can see who everybody is. Grady, standing here at 5-0 or 1-0-0, already has that malady online, trying to get some of those stacks by damaging people at the lower part of it. Is going to run into that howitzer mud, going to have to pull out the Make It Rain, and it's going to be enough to put Wally down. And just like that, 3-1 in favor of Salsa and his side chips. Grady going to have to clear this mid wave out.
Grady got to play cautious here. I mean, you can get a little bit aggressive, but maybe not quite the play you want. If the Salsa and his side chips want to make a move towards that mini prime, you still have to be cautious with the Iggy down. You would love to be able to get Iggy in there. We talked so much importance on that 4 turret augment and how it can be beneficial, but you really need to have time to posture and prep up at those objectives, whether that's a prime or a Fang Tooth. You also need that same preparation when you're getting engagements. And right now, Wild Leader not able to get quite those turrets down and get the mass damage he needs out or stall for his teammates. Doing a good side of action here on the side of Secret, Salsa, and his side chips. Doing good plays to make sure they're getting that exposure in the mid lane and being able to secure an advantage in that mid lane and possibly a T1 tower is important as we see the chance for Salsa and his side chips to secure this mini prime here. No congestion coming over at this time from Ashcraft's army. Should kind of be a free handoff. Like we said, handing that one over to that solo laner. Very crucial, Lance.
Going to be hard for the Aurora to stop the push that comes in with those orb prime or those mini orb prime empowered minions. Already doesn't have fantastic wave clear on the side of that Aurora.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that wave clear and how strong those minions are. But the thing that we have noticed throughout time and time again is when that mini prime buff does go to one of these solo laners, those junglers tend to be active. Luckily, from what we're seeing here on the mini map, they don't have that exchange happening. This is a chance truly for Salsa to have a 1v1 with Mila, trying to see if he can assert some dominance to those minions. So we see some action getting here in the solo lane. Face will come out, but Grady be able to come over and do enough damage, Lance.
Oh, Skewer goes white on it as well, and now it is Pinzo who is doing the stalking. He's got his eyes set onto Grady, but will take a knock-up. Wall Leader comes in a little bit late, does get a turret down, but it's immediately blown up by JC Wolf. And yes, the jungler on the side of Ashcott's Grady will not be able to go respond to Salsa with that mini prime push because second Fang Tooth of the map has spawned, and that is where the attention is at.
And the attention needs to stay here, Lance. This second Fang Tooth is so important. We can see both teams staying postured by this, knowing that that is the case. Junglers need to be cautious. Don't want to get picked off and lose your smite for that objective. We see Grady getting active here in the dual lane, but not able to secure a kill at this time.
Pinzo comes back in as well. It's going to be Twin Blast very low. Orager going to be taken out. J-Blow going to have to flash away. Going to link himself up to Grady. But Wall Leader once again coming in with a little bit of a late flank. The turret's just going to get blown up right away, and that might be the window that Salsa and his side chips are looking for to get this second Fang Tooth.
Lance, I do believe that is the window. You can try to come in with the contestation if you're on the side of the Ashcraft army, but I don't know that that's something you want to do. It just seems like it'd be an attempt just to sacrifice your life. Unfortunately, you are going to have to surrender over the second Fang Tooth, but that does not mean it's the game. This game is still in very much so a chance for you to take complete control. We've seen teams have dominant early game starts, teams that are a little bit slower, but that could be a scaling thing, or that could just be a confidence thing. Team is still building that momentum together. We don't know quite how much time these teams got to practice together with the scheduled time. But we know that we've seen plenty of teams make late game comebacks. Liz has said she loves a comeback. So if you do think a team's down, you think there's some chance that Ash is out of this one, I wouldn't count them out yet.
I wouldn't count them out either. Salsa not quite able to pick that tier 1 tower up. Has to be semi-aware of the fact that Grady was lurking around that 5 camp. Decides to give it up as he was out of mana. Just go for that Cyan buff. And he will retreat, but surely with the next push or two, Salsa will be able to take that first tier 1 tower of the game over in the off lane, as we have had a very action-packed game early so far, Rit.
And what I'm really surprised to see here, Lance, and it kind of intimidates me a little bit, is I'm not seeing a lot of warding on that right side of the map. Maybe that's a lot of confidence in these two solo laners, or maybe they just don't believe the junglers are going to properly rotate over. But right now, I mean, if you're on the side of Salsa, I can understand you're feeling a little bit confident. But even with that double buff, we've seen you get exposed. We see some damage coming down. Rancherito might have got himself overexposed here, Lance.
Ooh, and Mud picks up a solo kill in the... Oh, actually, not a solo kill. I apologize. Pinzo came in with another gank to help Mud out, take Wall Leader down for another time, and now Pinzo on the retreat. But this mid lane going well. Howitzer very much so popping off into this Iggy. I know a lot of people in pubs and in other settings have had a lot of issues with these 4 turrets from Iggy. Potentially Howitzer the answer. Mud kind of showing off right now.
And Mud's doing a great job. Nice kill there. Also, great rotation from Pinzo. And to shout out to both the Yuri in general in this game so far, Lance. So as we see a kill coming out of solo, OG are going to get that kill on Rancherito that he was unable to secure before. Gets it this time. Gets his second kill on the board for his team. But as I was mentioning, 4 kills total so far going in favor of those Yuri. 3 on the side of Pinzo and 1 for Grady. That's the exciting thing to see. We love to see that action on the new character, getting a very well-displayed case of the new character here for everyone to see. Love for people to be able to utilize that and see that skill set and use it to their own as we see this patch continue to grow.
Right, and Ogre and J-Blow gonna pick this gold buff up for themselves. A decent amount of gold in Ogre's pocket. 1,500 already does have that whole first tier 3 item completed, but it's Wall Eater once again being the victim of a gank. This time Grady here to give him a little bit of backup. He's gonna hit the ult himself, and that's a big shutdown into Pinzo. The Make It Rain does come out. Health bar very low on Grady, but the mobility of Yurei gonna be able to let him get out. That's a clean 1 for 0, and the kill score gets a little tighter. We are at 3-5 now.
And more importantly, Lance, is that shutdown. And you get that in the hands of Grady. There was the 3-0 start for Pinzo on the Yuri, but Grady comes in and says, hey, I got you this time. You were a little overextended trying to chase down that kill on Wall Eater. We know that he's a target of yours. Able to be there at the right place, the right time. Not only get Wall Eater out of there, but secure that kill, get that shutdown, get that extra gold in pocket. That's what you need to see out of your junglers. We see the position now getting ready for the next mini prime and the next Fang Tooth. You want to make sure you get these things in your favor. You don't want to take a chance of surrendering another buff over. You see Salsa getting very active here in this solo lane, Lance. He's probably going to take a chance to lay an ult, maybe secure a kill here on Milo, or just get this T1 tower.
Great awareness by Salsa, knowing he's got to get that health bar a little bit lower. Sends him to the moon. That's a home run. The Subjugate's going to land to stop the Glacial Charge as well. And surely Salsa can land the Siphon. Oh, he gets it. Put him on the board. That's a kill for Salsa. Almost out of mana, but able to pick that tier 1 up. Able to pick up the solo bolo, the single dingle, and that's a huge influx of gold into the Sevarog's pockets.
Yes, great play there by Milo as well. Was trying to get that Glacial Charge to get out of there, but a brilliant Subjugate comes down by Salsa. He's able to luck out and get that hold there to secure himself that kill. Gets that T1 tower, got his sitting about 3/4 health. He did get some plates in there as well. Got like a little bit of an early game advantage. You got Sevarog, that late game scaling champ. But the quicker you can get him online, the more dominant performance you can have. As we see that Salsa and his side chips getting active, taking his second mini prime, not going to hand this one over to Salsa. Pinzo said, this one's mine. I'm going to start rotating around. We're going to try to get some of these other towers on this map.
And I think that's the right choice. As somebody who's been spamming offlane, I do usually want it as the offlaner. He's already got the tier 1 tower. He's very much so in control of this, as it's going to be Ashkrot's army. Should be cleanly picking this up. I don't think we see any sort of thing. So that is one Fangtooth for them. A fight potentially looming here as 3 members are stuck within the pit. Yes, here it comes. Orger trying to do what he can to get some blasts out, but the Uriel just comes in and blows everybody up. That's a 3 for 0 right now. Mila does come in to the back of it. She's got a decent amount of health, but she's in there with 4 guys. And just like that, she's going to be the next victim. Only Grady remains on the side of the army. That's a 4 for nothing, but they did give the Fangtooth up for it.
Things are looking a little bit more hasty on the sides of Ashcraft's army. But like I said, Lance, still not willing to count any team out. We've seen so many things happen in this competitive scene, especially in a creative environment where everyone's just kind of enjoying and learning the game. So there was the exchange there. Grady was able to make it out. That is an advantage for them. The one not getting aced is very important. You got to keep the morale up on the team. You do secure that buff. You don't want to give up all 3 Fangtooths to the opposing team. However, healing out the jungler, the team was left astray in there. Not enough teleports and blinks to get yourself out of there. We did see the exchange in the fight where we did finally see that mass CC I was talking about, Lance. We saw the Soul Storm come out from the Yuri. Yuri pulls everyone in. We're seeing a Riplash into a skewer from the Richter. A lot of damage came out fast. Silence was, I'm sure, in there somewhere from the Drongo. And that is what they needed in those team fights. And in one of those pits where you have the entire team kind of locked up and CC'd, that's the perfect place to be utilizing those abilities.
And Rancherito just went very deep to get some vision in the blue side jungle of the army here. Has that blue camp and the 4 camp both warded up, so they will see where Grady is at right now. We'll see if they decide to make a move around the map apart from where that Yurei is at. They do have all 3 tier 1 towers down, have not lost any of them or hardly any health in any of theirs on their own side, and they have to be feeling confident that they're going to be able to pick this up if they keep their tempo going.
And not just confidence, but just at this point, maybe a little bit cocky. You've played very well. Your composition's worked to its T as you've probably intended for it to. You got the complete lane control. Those wards you'd mentioned late in the blue jungle were probably utilized just so you could get that back. However, was really more so surprised not to see those attempted to be used in the red side. You know that the next prime buff is getting ready to spawn here at that 20-minute marker. Maybe you posture a little bit more towards that side. You've had a lot of success on objectives. And if you get those lanes set, get your team rotated over real quick, like you might be able to get yourself the Orb Prime on spawn, Lance. So far, team exchanges going your way, objective play going your way. Wouldn't be surprised if that's moved from Salsa and his side chips.
Maybe, but I feel like it's going to take a pick. Yeah, you are at a 7-kill advantage. You've got a decent amount of gold above them as well, but just flat ripping it at 20 minutes does feel a little greedy, or greedy / risky. In the event that they come in and try to stop you, you know, you're going to take a lot of damage from Orb Prime straight at that 20-minute mark, even with somebody like Salsa, who is incredibly tanky at this point on that Sevarog. But they do have that big home run hitting, I believe it's called Grave Robber augment on that side of Salsa. So they would have the peel to be able to knock the opposing Ure away if that were the case, and they needed to be able to peel and get away with it if they go for it. A little bit of a pause, but then we're right back into the action. Still just kind of trading autos and farming up waves in this dual lane.
Yeah, you have to feel confident with the things that are going overall if you are Ashcraft's Army. You were able to secure your buff. You did lose a few teammates in there, but there is still the confidence. These teams have played together, like you said. I'm sure there's a lot of immaculate vibes. If you were able to listen to those chats, you would hear nothing but positivity coming out of these teams. There's just a setup of just making sure you don't let your team get picked off, as you mentioned. If you're a wall leader, maybe you play a little bit more cautious. They've had a lot of focus with you there on the Iggy, and they know your importance at an objective. If they're going to go for someone and really pick someone out to stop them from being able to secure a buff themselves, I believe that he's the one. If it's not the jungler, so you can remove that smite, you don't want that big hunt coming in trying to take a steal from you, it has to be the Iggy, right? Iggy able to lay down a mass amount of damage, not only to the objective, but if your team comes in and those turrets are set, you're able to lay some kind of sustain and protect those, that is a lot of damage that can be coming down from those 4 turrets, Lance.
That is true, but the gold balance is not there in the mid lane. Mud has gotten a couple of kills. Wall Leader kind of been getting picked on in this Iggy with that immobility that hero has so far. So the strength is definitely on the side of that mage, but Grady, recognizing that, going to make a move here onto Mud. Salsa coming from the riverside as well, looking at these health bars for each other. It looks like it's a 4 against 5 here in the mid lane. Grady going to go all of the way back to his side of the map. Subjugate is going to land out of Salsa, but the colossal blow goes wide. Grady able to dodge that. Wall Leader trying to back away himself. The ult comes out from this Iggy, and we're chasing all over it. Orager, next person to go low. JC Wolf going to be able to pick that up for himself. So far, we have a 2-for-0 as the Iggy falls in the middle as well. Meal comes in with the cryocism, but it hardly does anything to Salsa, as he is such a baby boy at this point. Subjugate comes down. The rest of the side chips show up, and it's not looking like a side. It's looking like a full course meal the way these guys are fed.
They were not getting an appetizer there, Lance. We saw a repeat of the last fight in this scenario. They were able to secure 4 kills. However, they did leave Grady up. There is a potential for Grady to make a plan here to try to get the steals. We see this Fangtooth being ripped apart quickly with Sauce and his side chips in there. Grady not going to make that movement, not going to risk his life. Just going to posture himself, say, hey, you did get that primal buff, but we're going to get ourselves together. We're going to square this up. We're going to contest you at that 4 prime pit. I would expect to see them rotate there fairly fast, but not too quick to where they want to engage. They want to try to stall this buff out a little bit if you're on the side of Ashcraft's Army. So maybe if they're right there, you be cautious. Maybe just send in the jungler. Maybe get an attempt at the hunt. Otherwise, I would just say set your lanes. Try to stall out that buff as long as you can. If you don't need that Orb Prime fight, don't take it right away. As we see Sauce and his side chips going straight toward that with no worries at all. Rushing straight to that buff. They feel confident with their primal. They feel confident with their team fight so far. This 14-3 advantage. Lance, expect them to get this one for free with little contention. You have to be feeling pretty confident with your odds to win this matchup if you're Sauce and his side chips right now. It doesn't look like Grady's going to make it in time. That buff is going to be kindly surrendered over to the side of Salsa and his side chips.
Very wise by Grady and the rest of Ashcroft's army not to contest that. There's a reason they went for Primal Fangtooth first. First of all, it gets them their 3rd Fangtooth of the game. That gets them that permanent buff to their damages and their armors. But with that Primordial Blaze and the gold deficit that the army is facing, there's no way you can face check that pit. So they know they get Fangtooth first. That secures Orb Prime for free. And just like that, you're double buffed up on a content creator Saturday. Grady does come in with the ult, but with no follow-up and it only landing on 1, there's not much they can do for it other than clear the wave. But it is only a matter of time until the reinforcements show up. That next Orb Prime buffed up minion wave comes in, and they should be able to take this tier 2 with next to no problems.
Yes, so with this tier 2, they need to be cautious because it's the kills that come after. As we see we see the Ashcraft's army team backing up. They have to play this one very cautiously. That T2 tower does go down, but you cannot afford to sacrifice a lot of deaths in the process.
You can't, and just like that, a second tier 2 falls down as Mila not able to stop Salsa from it. He picks up the single dingle again onto her, and now 2 minion waves pressuring both the mid and the off lane inhibs, and Ashcroft's army has to make a decision.
A decision has to be made to save at least one of these inhibitors. You don't want to let surrender both of them, though that is quite a possibility with the disadvantage of not having your solo laner. But they should be able to at least secure one of those. If they do give up to them, they need to start posturing to protect that core. You can't stay under those inhibitors if you know it's a lost shot. Prepare yourself for that, as it looks like we're going to see Sauce and his side chips just back up here. Not going to be super oppressive on getting that second inhibitor. They're already feeling very confident in their ability to team fight throughout the course of this match. They do have their inhibitor. Things are in their favor. Just going to take themselves that quick reset with that fast back, with that orb prime buff. Get yourself those additional items. You do see the gold advantage based on these kills here and the neutral objectives, Lance. If you're on the side of Secret Salsa and his side chips, feeling very confident as things are escalating here in the late game.
Very confident. I wouldn't be surprised to see them make another hard push, at least, or for at minimum this tier 2 in the left side, or potentially the inhib on the right. But they didn't quite have the minion wave coming back to that right side to be able to feel confident about getting the right inhib. They will settle for having one inhib down for now and kind of strip out Grady's jungle, look for some picks where they can get them. But we might get some aggression here. Actually, it will be them in retreat. Pinzo does come in. He's got the dash forward, but not enough to put them down. The Primordial Blaze no longer on the side of the side ship. So just the Orb Prime trying to buff these guys up. Grady goes in with a huge Soulstorm. Is going to get 3 of them in, but the follow-up damage is simply just not there. Mila gets sent to the bleachers behind it, and we are still fighting. Subjugate is going to go a little bit wide. Health bars are going low. Pinzo low, but Mud going to be the first person to get a kill within this. Wall Eater goes into the Epoch, but he is going to get taken down. Now it is Grady trying to get some damage off, but the front line is too chunky for the members of the army. Only 3 members up to try to stop this attempt at getting the left inhib. And Salsa and his side chips pushing very hard right now.
As they should be, Lance. That mid lane is coming up with a mass wave of super minions, and you still have a prime buff. No Primal Blaze, but all you need to wait is for that one more wave with the 5 teammates stacked up combined. You should be able to take out this inhibitor fairly fast. Grady needs to be cautious as he's getting active here. It might cost himself his life.
Oh, that was massive, though. He does get 3. Salsa's going to send him to mid lane for his time, though, and it will be J-Blow getting taken down by the Make It Rain. Only the jungler and the ADC left up for the army. They now have 2 inhibs down. Is that minion wave going to be enough to collect the third? I think Ogre will get there in time. Yeah, with Grady's help, that's not going to fall, but they have to stop this next minion wave as well. We do have the Primal Fangtooth spawning again after these pushes for Salsa and his side chips, and I would be shocked if they don't just run straight to it.
They should be running straight towards it, Lance. They've been running towards objectives with an absolute menacing strength and a confidence. They should be doing so now. They've been very great exchanges in these last 3 team fights. And as to your MLB reference goes, I want to say, Grady, fantastic pitch going in there, laying that Soulstorm down. Thought he was going to be able to actually secure some pretty quick kills there. Was able to lay down a lot of damage on the follow-up for his team. And then we saw that home run hit from Salsa. Seeing that Sevrog with those max stacks sending players across the map is quite exciting. I've enjoyed it. We do see Salsa and his side chips securing themselves another Primal Fangtooth. Look for them to get active in a team fight here. They really just need to go ahead and posture themselves. Maybe leave one person roaming around, whether that's Salsa or maybe one of the mage there with the howitzer on Mud. But you should see all that team rotate over to either posture for a play to stance around that Orb Prime or to go ahead and slam down this one last remaining inhibitor.
Yeah, and it's going to take 2 people to answer the split push of Secret Salsa, even if it is the duel, and I don't believe they really have the damage to stop anything. Here comes the Subjugate. Salsa really feeling himself trying to get in here and put the 2v1 on, but 2 other members of the army are going to show up still about 15-20 seconds before Orb Prime is going to spawn, but all of the attention on the wrong side of the map for Ashcroft's army right now.
Lance, that was the play that they needed to make. Salsa's over there distracting the team. They have to respect him. They rotated over the entirety of their team to stop him. So Ashcraft's Army now not in posture to be at this prime buff in time, as we see Salsa and his side chips securing that. Salsa making his way over, doesn't even get there himself in time before his team was able to rip it down. Double bumped up here on this Predecessor Creators Cup, like you had said. And if you want to win it, this is the fashion you want to do it in. They've got a lot of confidence on their side. They're just moving forward, going through things rhythmatically, not doing anything out of the normal, no one getting overextended. Just walk this one in, Lance. Secure yourself a win and get yourself into your next match.
Yes, I wouldn't be surprised if they decide to just even ignore the right side inhibitor, try to match these waves up and get themselves in. Subjugate's going to land onto 2, but a lot of CC comes down into Salsa. He's taking so much damage, enough to put him down. Overgor going to get the kill onto that Sevarog, so a little bit of the pushing power, a little bit of the front line is gone. Mila going to come out with that Glacial Prism, but the health bar still going very low. JC Wolf now going to be able to pick it up. The rad round damage on top of the Primordial Blaze going to be enough to put down the Aurora. Again, the inhibit mid does spawn, but they should be able to get that, as it will not be able to fight back. They are pressing in on to the core, but this is still a 4v4. They have the opportunity to defend this. They're going to pick the third inhib up on the side, and is this the push we're looking for? Grady with a very, very ambitious take of the jump pad. Gonna get hooked in. Rancherito from way downtown gonna pick him up, and now they do not have the power of that Ure to be able to clear these waves. Yes, they've got the turrets from Iggy. Yeah, they've got Twin Blast, who's got some pretty good wave clear, but with 6 minions on and your core at 30% health, there's not a whole lot you can do. Huge ult comes out of Iggy, but it's not going to be enough to stop the attempt. Nobody's going to fall from it. Mud's going to put him down, and that's game 1 of the Predecessor Content Creator Cup, going to Salsa and his side chips.
Lance, that was a great fight there. I do like how it went the end. Salsa maybe thought he was bigger than he was. I don't know if that was just a quick flex to show what he had, but I was actually rather impressed by the ability for him to get blown down. I mean, Salsa walked in there. It didn't really pan out the best way for him, but he felt big and he felt in charge, and he did what he felt was right. Grady's play coming out. We've seen him lay many successful ults. He was able to dodge the ult from Pinzo, but wasn't able to save his life, putting his team in a 3 versus 5 disadvantage. And unfortunately, with the double buff, they were able just to walk that one in. Salsa side chips. Fantastic job. Hats off to them.
Yeah, looking very strong as well. Both Mud and JC Wolf deathless in that. Grady only picked up 1 death himself. So looking strong, looking contentious, looking like they're trying to get their spray into the game. I thought that was a great game 1, but I'd love to hear what Liz, Ego, and F6 have to say about it. Let's send it back to the desk.
Thank you, Lance and Ritter. What a game. Salsa and his side chips. Salsa, you were huge, my guy. What a great Sevrog.
Played an absolutely phenomenal game, man. Sev absolutely paved the way for them to be able to get a lot of these engages off, but as we heard from Lance, Mud had a spectacular game, really showing out with that 7-0 stat board.
Yeah, definitely put out a lot of damage. I mean, like we talked about, this is the reason why I favored Salsa and the side chips. Not only is a clever name, but also just the amount of CC that they had. I think that Richter played a vital part into as well. Getting some of those rip lashes to lock down a target to be able to capitalize on it, and then their Ure is able to come in and facilitate for their team. All around, just great job. I mean, great job from both teams. They're able to kind of just showcase what Ure can do, and seeing those augments in game were just so exciting.
Yes, Ure was everywhere that she needed to be. This team was locked in, and they go to the next team. But as we did say before, Ash Karath is not necessarily done yet. They will be playing in the losers bracket, so we will have a chance to see the Ogre, Grady, and the rest of the team in another game. But on that note, let's go ahead and go to a short break, and then we'll get into our second game.
Get ready to unlock your true potential. Augments are coming to Predecessor in Update 1.6. Augments are powerful new effects that add a whole new layer of strategy, creativity, and counterplay to every single match. Every hero now has a unique set of 3 powerful hero augments to choose from, each one offering a range of new effects to play around. For example, taking Rampage's tiny Titan augment switches his ultimate to shrink him down and boost attack speed at the cost of taking extra damage. Veiled Stalker enables Sparrow to enter true stealth when activating her heightened senses ability, giving her the opportunity to reposition more easily or surprise her enemies. Or with instant reload, Grim.exe's ultimate ability resets on takedown for a short duration, allowing them to chain ultimates together for pure destruction. Alongside all of those, there are also 10 minor augments that are shared across all heroes, offering smaller passive effects. Here's how it works. After locking in your hero, you'll pick one hero augment, then 2 minor augments, one at a time from separate pools. That's 3 decisions and a multitude of possibilities. Augments are coming to Predecessor with update 1.6 on Xbox, PlayStation, and PC.
You remember, don't you? That moment, that feeling. What you were is gone because of him. Once broken, now reforged. With our help, you will be unstoppable.
We are back. Just a short break there for everybody here. But as we go into this, that last game, oh my goodness.
That was such a showing within that game coming out of this Salsa squad, but I'm going to put a little bit of emphasis on the mid lane. I'm not going to lie, I made the prediction for the Iggy comp, but I was so incredibly wrong. Mud, I didn't expect you to do him quite as dirty as you did. A 55% win rate on the hero howitzer. He was comfortable that entire first set.
Yeah, I mean, just an outstanding performance there throughout the mid lane, but really shouting out into, I think that dual lane, that phase, yes, does counter that Richter, but was just not able to once they were outside of that laning phase and just absolutely prioritized them just using that Riplash. They were hitting. I mean, those hooks were hitting left and right. And I think that's really one of those big contributions heading into that game.
I do think it was really cool that Mud was out there running that mid lane, especially to allow Pinzo to go ahead and play that Ure in the jungle. And of course, shout out to Pinzo for being everywhere he needed to be, helping gank the mid lane, the off lane, the dual lane. He was everywhere. That man was everywhere. And he had Grady, unfortunately, chasing his tail. But that is all said and done. That is now wiping our hands clean as we go forward with that one. But we do have another exciting match for y'all as we have Bear Force 1 in Event Horizon.
I'm very excited for a couple of these teams because they have two of some of my favorite players in all the competitive Predecessor. It is going to be Crazyful and Mercy now matching up within this set. And I'm kind of interested to see between them, the captains, the content creators, who's really ready to put on a show. And it all starts here with P's and B's.
Oh man, Bear Force 1 trying to get themselves back where they were in the last Content Creator Cup, but try and end up winning this time. It's going to be the Greystone that is picked out here for the first ban. They don't want to have to deal with him, especially when you look into his augment setup. He's going to have the ability to either try and have a blight inside of his kit, extra AoE damage on his Q, or just being able to just have an ultimate, not only bring you back to life, but does more damage and is a larger radius. Yeah, we're definitely going to get that out of there. So that one is going to be the first one off the board.
Another pick here that is really not surprising to get banned as well on the side of Event Horizon is going to be that Kwang. Kwang, again, being a very staple. Of course, we know that the Ure is available to be picked up, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they have to. So definitely want to get him out of here. And of course, Bear Force 1 picking off the Zarus.
I really do like the ban of this Zarus here. With that Ascendance augment, he basically just gets a free item the longer you scale into the game, as well as removing an enabler from the other side's composition. Without that cage, Aurora becomes a little less good, Gadget becomes a little less good, and you kind of force the enemy team to play a little bit of a more honest game here, as we see the Argus is going to be the follow-up ban.
Yeah, they do not want the dwarf inside the game. That man, we know the particle shredder is absolutely the most craziest thing to happen into the game. And with his augment there, being able to utilize that with the movement speed, there's no way you're running away from him. So definitely don't want that guy inside your game. So I think that was a good ban here. But the first pickup of that Steel Make Way, the Bulldozer, just an absolute phenomenal augment on side of this guy. And he's going to be unstoppable with some damage mitigation if they are able to choose so.
I do think that Steel has some really cool augments going into this patch, especially, you know, you can't necessarily stop him with the stun if he picks a certain augment. So you're getting bulldozed, you know, you're getting ran over and there's nothing you can do about it. I am glad to see Argus banned. I'm an Argus hater. I hate to see that short man running around.
I do have to agree with you, especially with his level 9 scaling, where that particle shredder becomes uncapped. And with one of the augments that fixes the degree of his mana issues, he can be a potent problem if you allow him to scale. And with players of this caliber, he most definitely is. Although now, in response, we are going to see two characters get locked in. Morn, who's been especially potent, and the Aurora to follow it up.
Yeah, a lot of CC. They're like, you know what? We're going to catch you. There's no running away from us. We're going to freeze you and we're going to pull you on and mesmerize you, as I should say. And definitely some augments going over to both of these heroes that kind of enhances their ultimates. And that's really going to be one of those big showcases here today. We're definitely excited to see if they pick Spider-Morn or just kind of put the lights out with some of that Contagion Eclipse.
I think Spider-Morn has been the best thing that has happened to Morn since he's come out. That is so crazy and honestly makes me so mad because there's nothing worse than seeing that 1 HP Morn running across the map and now he's flying across the map. But I do think it's cool to see that Decker picked up, so we know that the steal is going to be playing elsewhere. So I do think that's really cool to see being picked up from Bear Force 1 and of course the Iggy as well.
You know, I agree with you on some of the things it is cool to see, but one thing it's not cool to see is my sleep paralysis demon locked in yet another game. This character has been so extremely potent on 1.6. That first turn not only just giving him a lot of objective control, but also it makes the laning phase so incredibly difficult. That being said, though, Gideon, no slouch, going to be picked into him as those final bans do come through.
Serath and Rampage. We know the Tiny Titan is something to be feared. Ankle biter himself when he's able to transform into that. And it's completely, you would think like, hey, you get 35% increased damage done to you, that it would be a problem. But the fact is he does so much more damage by the time you're able to facilitate that, you're just completely dead. And Serath, we all know she is a menace to society, especially with that Ashbringer, with her Ascension dropping down into a stun. You don't want that. But the two carries are the ones showing light here on the first two picks.
We do see the Yurei get picked up from Bear Force 1, so really cool to see that. She's going to be picked up, so most likely pushing that steal to the off lane. And of course, Event Horizon is going to answer that as well with the Yurei pick as well.
Yeah, the Yuri going to be coming out last. I do like Event Horizon's composition here. You have a lot of things that can control the tempo of an engage if you get it. While looking over onto the other side here with Bear Force 1, you have a couple elements that make it harder to get that engage. Long range stun that's going to be coming out of the Decker, the CC that is just stapled to the hip of every steal, especially with some of these new augments in 1.6. Some very interesting drafts coming out here, F6.
Interesting indeed. I mean, definitely we knew we were going to see the Yurei, right? The Yurei was going to be shine bright here, especially if you can't ban her and you can mirror pick. Definitely a fun character to be utilized. So I'm excited to see how both of these teams are going to be able to pilot Yurei, seeing if they're going to stick to the mid, off lane if we want to see one, jungle. She could pretty much fit anywhere the way she is able to play a lot of mobility. But I think it's going to come down to the other characters inside of these drafts. Revenant, I think, is really going to be the game changer with his augment, with that 4th round shot. Doing more damage and avoiding armor pen is just going to be absolutely insane. 1 to 2 shots, even if your tank, is going to be a rough time.
I do enjoy the Revenant augments that are coming out. I think Revenant, especially in these last 2 patches, has been a really viable hero, and I'm glad to see that. I think he's obnoxious to play against, but really good to have on the team. But lo and behold, I want to know, before we get into this, boys, where y'all falling?
I'm going to be honest, man. I'm kind of leaning towards Event Horizon just because of the Revenant, as you said, especially with the new augments in 1.6. He can turn this steal from being I'm a tank to I am a tank ? By being able to mitigate a degree of that bonus armor he's going to be able to build. He's an extremely potent character, and piloted in the hands of these gamers, these content creators, I believe he can be the deciding factor that may let this team win.
Yeah, I'm going to plead the 5th here. I do not think this one I can make a decision. Both of these teams are pretty close, in my opinion. A lot of strengths and a lot of weaknesses, of course, throughout anything in life. So I'm going to stick out here and hope to see who really comes out on top after this match.
Well said, F6, because you never know. Ultimately, you never know until we get into the Sanctuary. And on that note, though, we're going to go ahead and pass it back to our boys, Lance and Ritter. And let's go ahead and see. Chat, drop down below who you think it's going to be.
Thank you so much to Lizard and E Squared for that great draft analysis. I am still Lance, and I'm always going to be joined by my guy Ritter here. Rit, what are we seeing through these drafts? What are you thinking?
Lance, I'm going to have to go on the side of what his forte is outside of just having Yuri that we knew we were going to see on both teams, but the CC. And last performance by Iggy wasn't the most hot we've seen, but that was into the Howitzer. I'm interested to see how it plays into the Gideon. But if you're on the side of Event Horizon, I'm with the Dark Horse out of Ego. He is right. I do love the CC chain. There's a lot of roots coming on the side of that team. They can lay those down and get that perfect Soul Storm. Wouldn't be surprised to see a lot of CC come out on the side of Event Horizon and secure some good kills on some team fights and before objective play.
Right, and some really big heavy hitters on both of these teams. You know, you got Dudikoff, you got Neo, you got Boogie. There's just a lot of very strong people. You got Crazy Fool in this match as well. So some very experienced players that definitely know how to play the game, know what they are doing. I think this is going to be a pretty competitive game, Rich.
I believe this game is going to be very competitive. The big thing I want to focus on is, again, this solo lane. Now, we don't have the Sevrog into the Aurora, but we do have the Steel, and maybe that's, per se, a better matchup for what you need. There was a lot of favor in the hands of helping out Salsa when he was in that solo lane with the Sev. Interesting if the same approach goes there. Is there that much fear of the Aurora that you need to come over and lay a lot of assistance so they do not have a clear run shot at that solo laner? We mentioned she's a little bit slow in her early game farm when trying to clear out that lane, but going to the Steel should be a little bit more her pace. We should be able to see Buffalo have a good exchange into that solo lane, get the Aurora online, and hope we can rotate over and cause some havoc.
Potentially, but I would assume that Grizzly on that Steel will be going the Unstoppable Bulldoze, Bull Rush augment to be able to get through the Horror Frost on the ground to mitigate a bunch of that CC, which is the majority of what Mr. Buffalo TV's kit includes with it in that Aurora. I love the skin variant that they are running as well. That is my favorite one to play when I am on this Aurora. But I think this is going to be interesting to see how this shapes up. The Spider-More does come out. Mez onto two of them early. Does Neo have the damage to be able to put them down? Yurei comes in. Flash comes out from Desakafan. And just like that, we've already got a little bit of an advantage for the next 5 minutes. That Twin Blast is very vulnerable.
Is very vulnerable. We see the exchange coming on here. Buffalo got to make his way out. Collapse comes over. Justro wasn't able to secure a kill, but was able to force out that glacial charge, put that on cooldown. You're not forcing out the blink. However, getting a glacial charge, any kind of movement's good if you want to try to attempt that regank. But as you said, I do love this dual lane matchup. Love to see the Spider more. Not something I really had expected out of supports. Thought you would go and kind of rush to get that ult, lay down that quicker, that blind, but looks like we saw success on it. Dudikoff, nice move there to lay the Mez as well, following up. A lot of aggression in this dual lane early. Active, you got to be with the Revenant. You want to get those steamroll earlys and get yourself an advantage.
Oh, and it's a Yurei battle here in the red side jungle for Event Horizon. The Cage gonna stop Duty and Mercy from walking themselves back in. Will they be able to pick this 5 camp up, get a little bit of an invade off, start suffocating some of that XP from Just Row? But everybody's gonna come in. A big CC comes out onto Mercy, who hits the first dash, hits the second dash as well. Health bar's going low. Ooh. Just Row super low as well. Are they gonna be able to get it? Ooh. Put him on the board. A little Yurei action, and Mercy gonna be standing at the top of it. But is his health bar now that's low? Does Soccer Fan gonna pick one up the opposite way? And Neo gets stuck in a cage. Surely he's going to go as well. To Soccer Fan, 1 HP, but that's one more than he needed. Picks the double kill up. Actually, Electric Boogie gets it. And then Crazy Fool also going to pick up El Dudikoff on the end of that. 3 members down for Bear Force 1 early.
Great exchange there on the side of Event Horizon. I thought there was a little bit of an exchange going to the jungle that I wouldn't have picked, but it turned out just right. Mercy gets a little aggressive, does secure that kill, gets the first blood, which is important. Tries to skew his way back through that lane instead of going through the jungle. Gets picked off by the Twin Blast. Not exactly how you want those things to go. You don't want to feed that kill to the carry, but getting that first blood, more important than that kill to the carry as well, because it's not a shutdown, it's just the second kill of the game.
Yo, and that's just classic Mercy gameplay. This guy lives and dies by the sword. He is willing to take 1-for-1 trades like that. The first blood, he thinks, definitely worth just trading yourself away. You get that extra 100 gold for being the first person to claim that kill. So in his eyes, he got the 5 camp too. That's a tempo advantage. You know Mercy's feeling good right now.
And you have to feel good. You got to enjoy the environment. You got to feel positive and let your team know that, hey, we did make that play. A little bit of a hiccup. Did give up a couple kills to the opposing team, but we're still in complete control of this one. This is just a beginning game limit test. Let's kind of settle things down. Let's get back in control. We've seen a lot of good exchanges so far from these teams early before this 5-minute marker. Would be expecting a team to prepare for a pick, whether that be on the duo to mid lane, and try to rotate themselves over towards that Fangtooth buff. If not, you can see Icky get himself there and try to get postured up, as it looks like that's the plan right now. Event Horizon has Icky rotating over. Not sure if he's prepping for that buff or trying to get this pick.
Yeah, 4 members around this Fangtooth pit. They do have the ability to clear this objective very quickly with those turrets from Iggy. Just a little bit of tank slapping on this side. Duty to the sky like it's New York City. Gonna fly around. First death comes out. Cosmic with the black hole. Gonna pick off Crazy Fool. And now it is just Ro TV who is going to fall within the pit as well. That will get the first Fangtooth to go over to the side of Bear Force 1. They even the kill score up as well.
Hats off El Dudikoff, Lance. I love that chance to whip in there with that Spider-Morn. He gets in there, he lays down a very nice mez to draw the opposing team's jungler off the buff, forces out the Soul Storms. There wasn't enough damage to come down. Bear Force 1 showed why they were in the PCG Cup finals last set. They turn this thing around, they get those kills, they get themselves an objective. Got to feel really confident with their play as things are moving forward after they get that first neutral objective.
Yes, the dude definitely abides to this Spider-Morn as he comes off of the top there, hits a huge mez, which really turns the tide of that objective fight. So really impressive stuff early out of this Morn right now from El Dudikoff. NA West will rise again.
NA West is rising, and I think that does even give me the tip to say, hey, maybe I am running the wrong AUG on Morn. Maybe I need to try to change it up, be a little bit more aggressive, and try to run the Spider-Morn. As we see Buffalo trying to get active here, but he has to be cautious. He does have some CC and a little bit of escape, but he might have to force out a blink to escape this Yuri.
Yes, and he does get that blink indeed. Just Row will be tracking that, does know that for the next 5 minutes, Buffalo a little vulnerable. Aurora is pretty hard to gank, but when you've got as many dashes and as much mobility as Yurei does, it is easier to return to that than with some of the other ones. You also have that gank assist coming out of the steal to be able to lock her down for a second. So some vulnerability out of Mr. Buffalo in the right lane for the next 5-ish minutes of this map.
And that's very crucial, Lance, because they're going to start prepping for this mini prime, and you want to be able to have all the movement and all the blinks that you can going into that engagement if it happens to be a team fight for sure. The big thing I want to point out is we were staring there at Cos. We get a little bit of exchange cryo system coming down from the steal. Looks like this could be a bad exchange for Buffalo, Lance. I don't know if he's going to be able to escape this one.
And not a lot of damage early from Grizzly on this steal, though. Does have the percentage health, but it's not going to be quite enough. Big pluck comes out of Morn, who's going to get knocked back by the belch from the Iggy, but he's running for his life. He's going to be put down. That's going to be Mr. Buffalo picking that one up for himself, and now they've got their eyes set on this mini prime.
This mini prime seems to be going completely in their favor. They do get that pick on the Iggy, which is important because there was a lot of damage to lay down, but with the opposing team's Yuri on the 2 camp, they're going to hand this one over free. Bear Force 1 feeling confident here in this part of the match as they've gotten that they did get that mini prime. They were able to steal and get some kills on that first Fang Tooth. Things are starting to get in their favor. They're getting control of the tempo. They're expressing their ability to play this game very well. Neo just going to casually farm this tower, going to give up some plates, but it's going to be worth it when you clamp that global gold and that mini prime objective being on your team's side.
It definitely is, and the scaling from the Revenant is very large. Deals a flat 8% extra damage on that 4th shot with the augment he's running as well. So eventually the damage will just be pumped out in duty with another great pull. This time onto Just Row, who's going to go forward, but his team is not there. He dashed the wrong direction. Mercy's got his eyes set to him, the blast cone. Going to be able to potentially get him out here. We'll see if some Spider-Morn shenanigans come in. Cosmic with a big black hole on the other side. Going to pick up 1, going to pick up 2 with the ult from Neo coming out as well. And now only Just Row remains, and they are pressuring on to him, probably picking up this tier 1 tower on the left side of the map.
And with that mini prime buff, they will secure this tower, and they will get those plates, Lance, which are very crucial in this early game. You have a complete control of the objectives, and now to be able to score yourself some plates to get even more gold in your pocket, very important. You mentioned the ability for this Revenant to roll, as we see Cosmic getting active in the mid lane. Thought he was going to turn up his tier 1 as well. Doesn't look like the case, as Buffalo here is also going to get active. They're going to secure out this play here on the Iggy. We've seen a lot of chances where the Iggy doesn't make it out, and this is just another one on Lance. Crazy Fool does go down here. It was a great play attempt there by him to try and attempt to get that mid lane with those extra turrets, but great response there on the side of Bear Force 1. If you're going to make yourself back to those finals, this is the performance you need to have, and you need to keep this momentum going throughout the course of this match.
Yes, and Cosmic does a great job of getting himself back there, saving that tier 1 as the Iggy pushing as hard as he could to be able to get that from falling down. Taking a quick look at the kill score right now, looking pretty good for the side of Event Horizon.
Yeah, but we do see Bear Force 1 here with a couple thousand gold advantage. It's not the monumental one you want to see where you would have a whole tier 3 of an item, but there is that small tier 1, tier 2 item advantage on a few characters throughout. We see the mid lane advantage here going to Cosmic. He does have about 1,000 gold advantage here on Crazy Fool. We're not seeing quite the excessive skill out of the potential we saw or we thought we would see out of the Iggy's. I love to see him picked, but right now the opposing mid laners have very strong performances against the Iggy.
Right, and we are looking to get to this second Fang Tooth, but all 10 members on the map are around here.
Lance, this is a cautious one. You got to play super fun there. We see the ult coming down. We do see a beautiful glacial wall, but it's going to be enough with the Soulstorm coming down.
And they get the second Fang Tooth on the side of Event Horizon. The big shield slam comes in from Steel, but it goes a little wide. Health bar's falling low now. 2 members of Bear Force 1 already down. The Yurei out on the side of Event Horizon, however, though. And now here comes Neo trying to get this damage down, but it's going to be him taking all of the damage. And just like that, 4 members of Event Horizon have fallen, and Cosmic, hiding behind the fog wall here, has to retreat as he almost perished himself.
Lance, you got to hope that you can maybe get the torn space and escape your team out of there. Maybe they were unable to communicate that in time with Cosmic, or maybe it just wasn't online and it was on a cooldown. We did see him go utilize that ult, so perhaps he did use that rift or that torn space to get up in the air for that black hole. Would have been a little bit more viable to use that to get your team out of there. However, you will say you do give up the 4 kills, and that's very unfortunate if you're Bear Force 1. However, you do get that second Fang Tooth buff, and that additional movement speed out of combat can be very crucial as you're starting to rotate around this map, secure some more of these tier 1 towers. I'd like to see them try to counter out this mid lane setup, get onto Event Horizon, push this mid lane down, but we know how pressuring that can be with the Iggy, and with the rotations over from the opposing teammates, should be able to hold this one down. You definitely don't want to surrender that. I believe that mid lane tower is the most crucial when it comes to running this map freely.
I think so too. And while we have just a quick moment to breathe here, I just want to mention how wonderful this Gideon alternate skin is here on that one, the Victorious bundle. If you haven't purchased it yet, pick it up. It supports Predecessor Esports, which is the reason we are all here, as we get a little bit of a scuffle in the mid lane. Duty also getting very aggressive here onto the Twin Blast on the enemy team. Crazyful going to be able to pick up Mercy during all of these shenanigans that are happening.
And Lance, that's the play you want to make there. It is slightly early than this mini prime spawn timer, but anytime you can get the opposing team's jungle out is great. You relieve the pressure of that gank, especially with the Yuri and how quick she can close in. But you also just give yourself the comfort of saying, hey, we're not going to let the Yuri run away with that. The first game we saw those Yuri combined for a 7, 2, and 10 stat line. Look to see that change up a little bit here in this game. Maybe these teams are a little bit more accommodated to. I'm seeing a little bit more focus. They realize that if they can focus out that Yuri, lay down some quick CC, they're able to secure those kills. They're going to need to utilize that because you cannot let her run free. Like we said, very strong character, especially upon this release, and you don't want to have her rolling. We saw what Pinzo was able to do once he got a pretty strong advantage, and he was able to keep his foot throughout the entire match on the throttle all the way down to the floor, and eventually get his team a win. I hate to see that happen here for either one of these teams, to have one character kind of do that quick roll around, get a quick advantage, and take complete control of the match.
And anyone who's played enough quick play knows that that's one of the disadvantages of a mirror match. Getting behind, if the other hero has the exact same kit as you, leaves you to do nothing but try to hit the outplay, as Grizzly going to hit that blink button, try to get himself out of the grips of Mercy, as they have their eyes set on this second mini prime that has spawned and is available to be taken.
Yeah, and Event Horizon, we'll have to be careful here. That we see them staging around this mini prime. We know the importance of that buff, but it's not worth taking the buff if you're going to give up another set of kills. They did surrender 4 kills, almost nearly the ace in that last fight. You cannot have that happen again here on your second neutral objective and that second mini prime.
They can, and it might be the tide that changes the course of this game. Gonna sweep out a little bit of the vision here, but all 10 members on this side of the map, everybody in this game is aware of the stakes and what is happening. Everybody gathered around the mini prime side looking to find somebody catching themselves out of position to get that pick, to open that window for them to get themselves into the orb prime pit.
It is that one pick that you do need. You have to watch. Cosmic here playing a little aggressive, but Neo's the one I'm most concerned about. You don't have a lot of mobility on the Rev, and if there's a chance for anyone to collapse, get some CC down on him, there's not a lot of opportunity for them to lay out a lot of appeal. So they need to be cautious.
Oh,
They're getting, like I said, get out, not there.
Morn goes in, he gets them as off, but they're able to get themselves behind the wall. Big shield slam comes out of Grizzly Gamer, and a massive pull in as well. The team fight is on, and 4 members of Event Horizon already down. That's the full 5 for nothing. An RGS ace for Bear Force 1.
Lance, that was not quite the exchange I saw happening. Like I said, I mentioned a lot of CC and control on the side of this Event Horizon team. I thought they were going to be able to get in there and have the Morn Mez come out. We did see that attempt, but unfortunately wasn't able to land a crucial set of Mesmerize and pull in a handful of those teammates. And then there was a little bit of the late engage from the Gideon ult. You would have loved to have seen that falling up directly on top of the Yuri ult. You know, you get that the whole team pulled in, and then they're pulled in and stuck there with the Gideon ult. They attempted to pull it off. It did miss. The ace goes in the favor of Bear Force 1. They got to feel confident with the way things are going as they shift this game around. Looks like they're going to get both these objectives essentially for free. Could be in contention, but it does look like it's going to happen. The hunt is not there in time, and if you're on the side of Bear Force 1, feeling very confident with the way things just went in these last 3 to 5 minutes.
And there goes one of the big comeback mechanics for Event Horizons. They're going to have to wait at least 5 more minutes to try to get that third Fang Tooth for themselves. But shout out to the Soccer Fan, a late addition sitting in for Empty, who was originally supposed to be on Bear Force 1 at 5-1 right now on this twin blast. Him and Electric Boogie over in the duo lane taking care of business.
It's fantastic to see these players doing good. It's nice to give these content creators a chance to get themselves in the competitive scene and show what they're capable of. These players are playing very well. I like what I've seen out of Boogie. Like you said, this duo lane in general is playing great. I'd mentioned that I thought the Rev would be very strong. Maybe it's just this earlier part of the game. We're waiting for those tanks to kind of come online and he can express that damage he can do with that extra penetration. But right now, it's not working out so much in their favor. I thought that the big thing to watch here would be this matchup out of the solo lane. That as well has been pretty much a fair trade. There's not been a heavy advantage to either team as we see Steel trying to come over and get the steal. Doesn't look like he gets the Cyan buff. We get a little bit of activity, but this is just going to be kind of a gentleman's agreement, a little hit, little exchange, high five, if you will, and they're going to walk their own separate ways.
Right, I do believe it was the steal who got that. There is some attention turned over to Mr. Buffalo in this side as he will begin Crazy Pool right behind as well. So 3 members of Event Horizon or of Bear Force 1 have moved over to the solo lane side, but Aurora very hard to get on top of, very hard to gank, but they're going to try their best. They do have this mini prime push, so maybe they have their eyes set onto this tier 1 tower instead of the life of Aurora.
That is absolutely Lance. They are going to try to lay some damage here. Maybe it is enough as we see the glacial wall coming down. It probably should be an escape. Yuri's able to secure the kills down. And oh my, can he get out of there? He cannot. Yuri just too strong. Just Rose shows that he can play the game and he is going to secure that kill there under that T2 tower. And with that mini prime buff, they are going to secure that tier 1 as well. Probably expect to see them make a push towards this tier 2 as they see their tier 2 being surrendered in the mid lane as well.
Yeah, and potentially on the duo lane side of the map as well, as I think that is getting very close to falling or defense, or with looking to be no real defense from it. Yes, that will be 2 tier 2 towers, so they sacrifice a tier 1, but they get 2 tier 2s. Neo now running for his life and is going to be claimed. Duty surely going to be the next victim to fall as well, but the gold influx still probably going to the favor of Event Horizon getting both tier 2s.
Yes, and you have to be very happy with that exchange, Lance. You do surrender 1 tier 2, and you do surrender your solo laner and their tier 2 tower. Or you don't surrender the tier 2, you surrender the tier 1 and your solo laner under the tier 2 tower, but you're able to secure 2 tier 2s. You do also lose your carry and support, but like you said, at the end of the day, I think that that's totally worth it. The global gold that your team gets and just the free mobility around the map with those towers down, you now have a lot of chances for evade attempts and ambushes throughout those lanes. All you got to do is kind of keep a little bit of focus on those, make sure those lanes are set, rotate over to the solo lane, and try to really prepare for those objectives as they come up here. As we're hitting that 20-minute marker, we're going to get that Primal Fang Tooth. If you're on the side of Bear Force 1, you're going to be able to secure that also for the movement speed, but you cannot take your eyes off that big prize, Lance. That Orb Prime buff and how strong that is, that's the one you really got to make sure you're prepping and posturing around.
Ooh, and Grizzly getting aggro here onto Mr. Buffalo. They have a bunch of the damage come out. The Cryosystem comes out as well, but it's Duty who's found himself into kind of a questionable spot. Big Belch is going to stop the black hole, and nobody has fallen yet. Scratch that Cosmic on the Gideon will be the first member to fall. Duty gonna follow suit and go down as well, and they've got their eye set on a 20-minute or prime writ.
Lance, they should be able to secure that buff as well. I mean, there's a chance for the temp with the steal with the hunt. However, with all 5 members up, that's a dangerous pit to enter into. We know that Iggy's already got that stanced up. We know that Crazy Fool has laid down all 4 of those turrets. They're going to get this buff for free here. Starting to get control of things. Didn't have those earlier buffs, but as this mid to late game has developed, Lance, they've gotten complete control of those buffs. They've also had very good fighting overall in these team fights. And Des Soccer Fan, like you said, came in, had to do the fill-in role with Empty stepping out, having himself a fantastic performance so far, Lance.
He definitely is, and the members of Event Horizon will be spawned in time to try to defend this Primal Fang Tooth if they want to. They don't have that fight buff. They've got the push buff on the side of Bear Force 1 now, but Mr. Buffalo will have to try to join them if they have any realistic attempt of stopping this. Might see some Spider-Morn shenanigans too.
You might see the Spider-Man, maybe you can lay down that Mesmerize and Seal, but I don't know. I just think there's too much damage that comes out on the side of Bear Force
Mercy
1. You
goes
see
in.
this buff is at 5K.
Health bar is going low, but he's just getting blown up immediately. Fangtooth not taken yet. It will be going now, and it's Bear Force 1 who's able to take this away. Neo gonna put somebody in the Shadow Realm, have to blink away with 1 HP left. The Molotov is gonna be enough. Crazy Fool picks that one up. Duty Call falls on the other side as well. That's a 3 for 0 right now. Bear Force 1 double buffed up and sieging this tier 2 tower in the mid lane.
And Lance, Bear Force 1 getting very active here in the mid lane. They have an attempt. I wouldn't expect Cosmic to go in. So we see the Steel All coming down as well. Aurora, not going to be enough. Black Hole Lance coming in as well. Still not going to be enough. Great performance and team fighting here on the side of Bear Force 1.
Oh, and that's the second ace of the game for them already. Still a second left, 10 seconds left before any real damage is up. This will surely be their inhib falling. Are they going to go for the Andret?
Lance, I believe this is the perfect time opportunity to go for them. You're feeling confident, and you have a lot of damage, and you've shown so far that in these fights with numbers, you are winning.
Yeah, and if they're able to blow up Mercy here, it should be trivial at this point. The health bar does go low. Mercy is going to fall. It's a 2v3 with a double buff on the side of Bear Force 1. They're looking at the core, and just one more shot will do it. Bear Force 1 will move on as they eliminate, or as they take down Event Horizon.
And Lance, like we had mentioned before, we have to give a fantastic shout out and a hats off to Day Soccer Fan. He comes in on that filling role and he plays fantastic on the Twin Blast. Not to discredit anything from his team setting up those kills, but to be able to secure those kills and get those numbers on the charts, fantastic performance.
Very good performance indeed. And behind every great ADC is a fantastic support. So shout out to Electric Boogie and the way that she played on that as well. My favorite streaming unicorn in the Pred community. However, I'm very curious what the desk has to say about this. We'll send it back to him.
Oh my goodness, Bear Force 1. They kicked it into overdrive coming into that mid game.
They most definitely did, man. Bear Force 1, a fitting name. They just went over the top of everything the opposition in Event Horizon tried to do. They really put on a show of how good they could play individually, but as Ritter said, you gotta tip the hat to the carry there. He just was putting up crazy numbers on the board.
Yeah, I think all around they just play exceptionally well. I mean, we saw the Spidey Morn being able to do his thing. What a play he's coming out of L Duty there, especially by that Fangtooth bit. I mean, overall, it's exceptional job. Definitely fun to see. We can see how fun these 1.6 augments are really inside the game.
Yeah, so definitely a really good game here. And again, Event Horizon, so sorry, but we will see y'all in the bottom bracket. But again, still a chance for them to crawl out. And of course, Bear Force 1, y'all move on. We're going to go ahead and go into a short break. I will say, guys, I think that's my time for today. We will be handing it over to Spooky, Lance, and Ritter. And thank y'all so much for having me. And Ego and Mr. F6 will still be around. We'll be right back.
Witness my power! Can you taste it on the wind? Fresh glory awaits. Perish amongst the weak. Leave this to me. Come to me, fools!
Another day, another demon in need of retribution. Demonkind now knows its place.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Creator Cup. I hope you've been having a great time so far, because the action just does not stop. Say goodbye to Liz. We're done with her. We no longer put up with Funkos. It's me, Spooky, here, joined by Lance and Reddy. You see him waving at you now? And we are here to bring you Shinbi's Ghost Wolves, going up against Secret Salsas and Side Chips. Lance, I mean, we've seen a couple of these teams already. Shinbi's Ghost Wolves won the last time. How are we feeling going into things?
I mean, I would feel pretty confident if I was Salsa and the Side Chips with the performance they put on in Game 1. I feel like they were up against another one of the better teams here, but just like Ric Flair has always said, to be the man, you gotta beat the man, and Shinbi's Ghost Wolves, they're the men.
They are the mid Lance, you're right, but I will say the hats off to Pinzo on that. He did, out of the first wave of matches we've seen, he did have the best performance on that Yuri, and we know how high that skill ceiling is and how important having that character having an advantage is. If he can utilize that moving into this matchup, I think they have a chance to dethrone those champs and say, hey, we're here, we mean business.
Everyone always wants to dethrone the champions. It's tough when you have to go against them so early on. But Salsa is coming off of a hot win. They looked very strong. Just from how you guys saw them play in their last match, what are you expecting to see out of these teams here?
I would be very surprised if we don't see Salsa and his side chips once again running that Sevarog in the side lane. He was kind of in complete control of it. It looked like they could pick anything they wanted in the duo lane with JC Wolf just kind of doing whatever he wanted on the Drongo during that first game. Kind of a rinse and repeat, and I got a sneaking suspicion we'll see a Yurei on both sides.
We'll absolutely see that Yuri and Lance. I think the most important thing that you mentioned there, and not so much just a Sevarog, but probably just a beefy lineup. From what we've seen, Salsa and his side chips in that game one had a lot of CC and a lot of frontline, and that was their serum to winning that game.
Yeah, well, you know, we can talk a lot about what we might expect. We like to mince words up here on the desk, but what we like better than mincing words is seeing if we are right or not. So let's go down to the draft. Let's see what these teams have in store for us. I've heard a lot about the Sevarog so far. Obviously, probably going to see some Yurei. No one wants to ban it away when you can mirror match it. But do you think there's some attention paid towards that Sevarog? Do you think maybe it gets banned away? Or do you think there's more high priority picks that you have to worry about?
I think that there are some higher priorities where you can't necessarily ban the Sevarog. I'm curious to see where the Iggy falls in this. Salsa and his side chips played very well into it in the last one. They're going to ban the Rev out right away. We'll see if they have a counter prepared for that Iggy if they decide to give it over. Not surprised to see Revenant get taken off the board, though.
And I think that Rev ban is important. If you are going to run that beefier frontline, the last thing you want is a character who has an augment that can kind of shred down those tankier characters. We didn't see a lot of success with them in the last game. Unfortunately, there is a lot of potential for him to do it. We do see that ban on the side of Shibby's Ghost Wolves. They saw what the Salsa did in that game one, and they said, Sevarog, that's unacceptable.
I mean, if you see someone put up a very strong performance, you take steps to limit that performance. And sometimes it's hard with a character like Sevarog, right? He scales incredibly well into the late game. You pretty much have to focus him early, but if you don't play your cards right, he can scale up anyway. So just remove it from the equation entirely. That makes your math a lot more simple. Morn, also taken off the board here. We only got one ban left before the picks. What are we expecting?
I think that it might be an Iggy ban here or something to target Mud. Mud really popped off in that first game. I think she was 8-0-5 by the end of it. Wow. Played exceptionally, got a lot of attention from Pinzo in the early part, but it's going to be the Quang taken off. And I agree with that. That hero is OP.
Lance, I'm kind of wondering if they aren't targeting out Salsa in general here. They're just eliminating out these solo laners. If we're going to see Salsa there again, you've already taken out the Sevarog, you've taken out the Quang, but one thing I like to make mention of, and it could be important here, is they didn't take out that Greystone. I think Greystone is in a very strong situation this match, and we see him getting picked one.
Man, Ritter, you are just on top of things right now. Say his name, see his face, he gets locked on in. First pick for Salsa. So you've taken away a couple of these solo laners, but you've still left a pretty strong one up on the board. Has plenty of augments he can go to kind of adjust to what this draft comes up. And there's the Iggy that you guys were also talking about. First two locked in. How do you guys think these compare? Where's this Aurora going?
I would assume that Aurora is going into the offlane to match up into that Greystone. Very likely where you would put that. We see the Iggy come out as well. We'll see if Salsa and the side chips decide to pull the Howitzer out to counter that, like what we saw within that first matchup, to get some attention from Pinzo and try to set that Iggy behind, as he really doesn't do a whole lot if he does get set behind. Instead, they're going to pick that Gideon up, and once again, they're going to put JC Wolf onto that Drongo, who also had a really good performance in our first game of the day.
Yeah, I do like this matchup and pickup set here. I do like the way that Gideon plays into the Iggy, and we've seen so much success of the other mid laners into the Iggy, so I'm not sure exactly which one is the direct counter. We've seen both teams who have played into him play very well, no matter what the mid laner they had was. Do love this Fire and Ice combo, though. If you can get those turrets down in stage, you get a perfectly placed Cryocism and an Ice Wall, Glacial Charge with a Phase Root, a lot of damage can come out.
A lot easier to get those Cryocisms off as well, now that she has increased range on that, if you take the right augment for it. FaZe also locked in. This is one that I don't see a whole lot of here, guys. In fact, every time I see FaZe's name mentioned, it's either the person or some unkind things being said about the character? What are we thinking?
The augment that she has that gives extra mana to whoever she is linked to, just doing a lot of work for her right now, kind of trying to change the builds and making it so you don't have to build any regen, you don't have to build too much mana within that, especially with the minor augments that can come in that alchemist that can provide some for you. And I'm not surprised to see Salsa and his side chips target that Skylar and try to limit that ADC pool even more, as we've seen 2 bans go that direction.
Yeah, Salsa and his side chips definitely has a target here, and that is that duo lane. They're doing anything they can to limit that pool. They picked the early ADC. We see the Yuri come off the board. Don't spice you. I would have thought you would have left her to be the last pick. You know, both teams are going to pick her. There's no need to really identify her out early unless you're trying to cloud or enshroud that final pick. You have a little bit of surprise in the opposing team. Interested to see what they'll go with on the side of Shinbi's Ghost Wolves for that last pick. Now that you didn't, wait and hold on to that Yuri pick.
I do kind of like the idea of revealing this Yuri pick early, because like you said, everybody knows that you're going for it, so you might as well save that last one. Maybe find yourself a counter pick. Richter gets locked in, Yuri, no surprise there. Lance, you see the team. What do you think this last pick is for the Ghost Wolves?
Well, they have to go ADC here. Kev can kind of play whatever he wants, very comfortable in that ADC role. I wouldn't be surprised to see the Murdoch with what has been taken off of the board right now, or potentially that Twin Blast. But Kev, the king of the pentakill, really can pilot any ADC that he wants, and it is going to be the Twin Blast.
And I love that Twin Blast pick, Lance. We had the opportunity to cast a handful of games since this patch has come out, and this combo here is the one we like to see. Like you said, that Essence Stream on the face to restore that mana with the Grenadier augmentation on the Twin Blast allows you a lot of potential to really run down and chase down those lanes with limited fear and still have a pool to get yourself out of there.
Very solid drafts coming out from both sides. You see the tools available to everyone. We got a couple minutes before we go into the game itself. So, boys, let's get some final thoughts on these drafts. Who do you favor, and what are the key plays on the map that you're looking for from each of these guys?
He's going to be mad at me for saying this, but Salsa is one of my best friends in this entire world. That guy cannot play. That guy can't play Greystone, though. He talks to me about how much he hates the hero all of the time. I'm going to give the power over to Shinbi's Ghost Wolves, our returning champions, just based off that alone.
That's crazy.
I would love to take the F6 way out of here and take it easy to say I'll plead the fifth, and I don't want to pick a team in this one, but I'm against you, Lance. I think I got to stick with Secret Salsa and his side chips. They rolled through that first game with a lot of confidence. Pinzo had a phenomenal performance on the Yuri, and I think Greystone is just such a good spot as long as Salsa cannot overextend and get himself picked off a handful of times. Very strong champion. You got the beefy front line we saw the first time. Just make sure you hold out and win there in late game.
Well, you've heard enough from us here. I believe you all came for one very particular reason, and that's to see some excellent Predecessor action on the map on Sanctuary. So without further ado, let's throw you over to none other than E Squared, Ego, and F6.
Gamers, welcome into another day of excellent Predecessor play. As Spooky said, it's E Squared in the booth with you. Your boy Ego rocking out, but never rocking alone. Alongside me, I got the man, the myth, the legend, F6. Are you ready for the games?
More than ready. Here you go. I'm excited, man. We get to cast. We're not on the desk anymore. Got a little bit of a shift. We get to see the excitement and be able to talk about it live. So I'm getting ready to see this. I'm excited for Shinbi's Ghost Wolves here for their return. They got a bye inside the first matchup. So this is going to be their first play going inside the first Predecessor Creator Cup.
Most definitely, man. However, onto the other side with Salsa and his side chips, they're coming in hotter than the Primal Fangtooth brother. They had an excellent game one, and despite having to fight over a couple of bans in that P and B section, I'm kind of anticipating them looking to maintain that rhythm, that momentum that they were able to manifest within their first set.
I mean, we've been casting together for over a year now. One of the main things we do like to talk about is that momentum. And right now, like we talked about, Shinbi's Ghost Wolves have not played their match just quite. This is going to be their first one. So Secret Salsa and his side chips are just running off of those fumes. So they're going to have a little bit of warm up here and going to be able to kind of pilot that. And we're going to see if they're going to be able to come out on top in this game, best of one.
And when you talk about the Ghost Wolves, you're going to have to talk about a couple of the characters, right? Because they have some very well-known players. Kev Kaioken, previously the #1 ranked player, Survivor, a PCC champion in the past, and their captain, pulling them all together. Lita Games knows how to win. And as we talked to her in our interview, she seems like she's pretty comfortable taking on this squad.
I mean, you're seeing the spray already, the confidence outside of Lita, marking her territory inside this mid, saying, hey, you're going to have to worry about this. Iggy, 1-for-1 so far of the day. We do know this man is a menace, like you feared yourselves and said, but it's going to be a kind of a combined effort here towards the entire group on both of these teams. We're going to see how they're going to be able to play well with each other. Somebody that I'm worried about is that Richter. We do know that reposition tool is something to fear.
Oh, most definitely. However, it's a little less scary, right, when you got the nightlight of a phase on your team, right? A good pull immediately into an answer from a pull back. This dual lane is definitely going to be interesting, but I'm more interested to see how the players respond to the adversity rather than the characters they're piloting. We know they both want it, as you can already see Shinbi Ghost Wolves do mark their territory in all of these lanes.
Oh, indeed. I'm also excited to see Salsa here, though. They banned away that Severa, like you were highlighting when they were fighting over those P's and B's, not having that Severa, but being able to pick up that Greystone. We know how strong he is right now, and I really want to see how he's going to fare well into that Aurora.
I mean, Lance kind of hit the nail on the head already, right? Salsa, he's our boy, but how comfortable is he going to be on this character? Within the first set, we saw that the meta doesn't define everything if you can't execute on it. We saw that with Iggy being picked up within that first set of the day. However, only having 6 games on it, that Howitzer was able to overcome, and maybe Mud is going to be able to replicate that performance here.
Only time will tell here, Ego. But you're right, being showcased here for the 3rd time. Everybody wants to play this hero, and I mean, I don't blame them. The mobility and just the excitement around this 1.6, I can't wait to see what Jungler is able to do.
Oh, most definitely, man. I've been wanting to play a lot of this character personally. Sadly, it looks like Richter's not going to be able to play the game at all. As Kaioken is going to get the first kill.
That's the first kill and put some damage return down into the Drongo. Need to back up there, but do not want that smoke there. Salsa, first blood going on over to Shinbi's Ghost Wolf, starting off hot off the streak here, and they're looking to stay on top of this map.
Severance is going to come out. Just a little bit of damage, though, coming out of the jungler as they're going to be resetting into the enemy red side. No camp's going to be up, at least for a few moments, though, on this invade.
Just a little bit of time there is going to be able to stop them from being able to get too much farm stolen, and it looks like there's going to be a Yuri versus Yuri conversion over on that red side.
Yeah, invade onto the 5 side. We could see them utilizing the 1 in order to create a little bit of space, but instead it's going to be some poke now coming out of Survivor, looking to scare the enemy outside of their jungle. The passive is going to trigger all of the abilities do lane as they're going to go over the damage coming out of the opponent, but a reset ultimately is what it's going to be, as the damage potential just isn't there quite yet.
Isn't just not there quiet. They weren't also able to get the reset there from Survivor through her dash and just running away. Mobility versus mobility, hero versus hero. You're going to see the same thing in space. Riplash offline. But let's talk about that invade. Being able to take away some of that XP is going to allow for the other Yuri onto the opposite side to be able to kind of just get a little bit more farm. You're already seeing the tempo there being shifted onto that side. The first Faint Tooth is going to be spawned here in less than 20 seconds. Only 1 kill on the board within the first 5 minutes. Still a little bit of a slower pace. We've seen action, but just not quite enough yet to really tell who's on top.
And we know how important the tempo can be within these earlier moments of Predecessor, right? We've said it time and time again, the only thing that you get guaranteed in competitive Predecessor is this early game, especially with these objectives being so important. Fangtooth, as you said, now going to be spawning on the map, and with an Iggy on their team, I have no doubt that Shinbi's Ghost Wolves are going to be looking that way sooner rather than later.
And we all know Iggy, the man just likes to burn everything in sight, and objectives are one of the things he burns best. He shines bright whenever he's able to take control of the pit first. And on the side of Secret Salsa and his side chips, they're going to have to make sure that Iggy does not get into the pit, sit comfortable with those turrets around him.
I'm going to be honest with you, F6, man. I am horrified that Iggy is in such a comfortable position after the 1.6 patch. Like an uneven surface, whenever I see that character, I absolutely tilt. And it seems like he's going to not only be seeing a lot of competitive play, but ranked and casual play, because that 4-turn augment makes him so incredibly oppressive.
Oppressive and potent indeed, but what we talked about is happening right now, so Chips are gonna have to look to try and buy the here, but look at the burn on this. It's just absolutely insane, but Pinzo looking to try to get a sneak, but the big belly belches pop is on away that Ray.
4 turrets down. They're going to be able to burn through the objective, and now they're going to be looking to burn through some of the HP. Yuri engaging onto the back end. It is going to be a forced blink out, but it won't be enough, as we're going to see Yuri in hot pursuit striking back as Pinzo Dunzo gets to go over the top side. It's going to be a black hole that catches to a blink. It's going to be forced as the utility will be good enough to buy a couple lives, but not all of them, as Astro is going to get sent back to base.
And the chase is still on here. Ego looking to capitalize back to the Yuri. Pixton. And that's going to be a third one onto that scoreboard. And Seeker Salsa and the side chips looking to be dunking their chips inside that Salsa, being able to come back. They lose the objective, but what do they get? They get 3 bodies back down into that grave.
This team has a team fight that is saucier than a linguine. The name is making a lot of sense here. They are playing to all of their advantages, especially off the back end of an objective taken. We've seen within the PCC, PBL, all of these different functions and community ran events that the best teams that perform always get something back whenever they lose something. And right now, it's going to be Salsa and his side chips showing us just that.
Sad indeed. Off with the first blood towards Shinbi's Ghost Wolf. They secured the objective and just being able to fight back, getting 3 kills, getting the pressure that they need to get themselves back into the map. But it's going to be Survivor, going to be in a bad spot. Greystone here to play.
Greystone going to be leading the way. Glacial Charge, though, is going to be able to split up the engagement, as it looks now they're going to be looking for a re-engage. Crossfire, so it's going to come out, but a well-timed blink is going to be able to separate the engagement. Soulstorm does come out, but it does not kill until Pinzo gets another kill on to lead a game, set back the base onto the back end. It's going to be Survivor who's looking thirsty for a kill, and with the Soulstorm, he's going to rain down some damage, but it's ultimately going to be the chips who send him back to base.
Just not quite fancy enough with the footwork, but he did buy a lot of time. Still, the Mini-Orb Prime is up, but once again, Seeker Sauce and the side chips are maintaining this lead that they bought from executing the retreat out of that Fang pit, and now they're looking to keep this rolling. They need to find something here on Shinbi's Ghost Wolves to really stop Salsa and the side chips here from coming back into this game and staying on top of it.
Most definitely, man, but with the action kind of taking a breath, I'm gonna allow us to do so. You heard Ritter on the desk. It was like, hey, F6 doesn't pick a side here. I'm gonna put you on the spotlight, man. Between these two teams, we're a little deep in the game, but which one of these compositions do you think has the most potential to scale into the late game and maybe pull out a win?
I mean, I could say if you believe, but I'm going to take a break here. Pull's going to be popped, but it's going to be Yuri looking to trade into some damage, but with the heals. Great pull there from Nori, TB, Kev Kaioken looking confident, pushing back her from going over here. And that's going to be a good uprise there. Great play from the dual lane. But back to your question here, Ego, even though you're going to put me on the spot, who do I think has the most potential? I'm still going to go with Shinbi's Ghost Wolves here. I think that Iggy with the 4 turrets, if they played it, how they played that first Fang Tooth. We know objectives win games. Yes, they're losing out on the kill lead currently, but if they're able to keep rolling along with these objectives, taking Fang Tooth after Fang Tooth, eventually that extra third Fang Tooth Monty is going to allow for them to either just be in a good spot, even if they're down on kills.
I mean, that's the dichotomy of Predecessor, right? Especially in a competitive sense. Yes, one team can be ahead on kills, but the potency of these Fang Teeth, especially if you're able to get to that 3 Fang Monty and get that plus 8% to your armor as well as damage, you can become an absolutely unstoppable force here in Sanctuary. But we're still early in the game. There's a lot of Pred left to play, and I'm going to be looking to see how this dual lane is going to play throughout this game, as Kev, Kaioken, and the support here have been absolutely dominant in a lot of these exchanges.
Indeed, here comes that ventilate, here comes that hyperflux. They're looking to make a trade, but here comes that get to a skewer and pops her on down. Nori's gonna get pulled back in, not too much HP. She goes down as well. Double kill goes towards Salsa and his side chips.
Dude, somebody get Pinzo a broom. He's cleaning up the lanes. Able to extend the kill differential now to 6. As though, onto the other side of the map, it is going to be all eyes for the mini prime. It doesn't look like Shinbi's Ghost Wolves are going to be able to threaten that 3-Fang Monty, as they're going to lock down 2 kills, lock down 1 objective.
Oh man, at least they're able to stop that really kind of a pressure away from getting 3 Fangtooth Monty on the Shinbi Ghost Wolves, but the mini prime is secured by them and they're going to be able to at least trade an objective. It looks like though Greystone's going to be in a little rough spot, but he's going to be the one taking the win trade over there because Survivor does not want to lose that mini war prime just quite yet.
Yeah, he is going to have that stone forward soul just in case things got a little bit of hairy, if anything, to be able to buy him a little bit of time. That being said, though, that's not the place you want to be able to utilize it, right? You want to crack that in a team fight, maybe hit it on to 2 and reset your health and reset the potential of a kill if the other team is cutting it a little bit close. That being said, Salsa has been rather dominant on this Greystone, showing us on the desk as well in the casting booth that we may be a little bit wrong about what he's capable of putting out here within the competitive scene.
Definitely a lot from that Greystone. Wolves just being able to pile that through on is going to be a great exception here. But back to this dual lane. Friplash obviously going to land here, but the pool's not available because he was CC'd down. Great trade there from Rancho Rito to be able to kind of push back that real big pressure that this TB is providing over the side of that duo.
Yeah, and that's kind of what you need to do, right? Keep a little bit of fear in the heart of Kev Kaioken piloting this TB. Yeah, it's a small dash within his own kit, but compiled with the mobility he's going to get from the pullback for phase, I mean, it's going to be really hard to kill him. You're going to be looking for a quick rip flash into a skewer type situation to lock down some of these kills, as we look like we might have a fight roiling over here in the left side.
I mean, it looks like they want to contest something, and they just sniffed it out a little bit there on the side. All of his Shinbi's goes if they're like, hey, we're a little bit pressured up here. We don't see mid, so enemy missing call. Great job there from Lita Games, but she needs to be careful as Yurei Pinzo looking for a gank inside that mid.
Man, he has been looking and finding the multi. It's going to have to be used here from Lita Games in order to reset the enemy side jungler here in Pinzo Dunzo, as now it's going to be a Soulstorm over to the far left Italy, going to be used as well in order to get them low, but not low enough, as it's going to be 2 members who survive the onslaught of damage.
Man, both Yureis going for ganks. They're just not able to get a kill just quite yet. So we're still waiting for this really to blow out here. Looks like Secret Salsa and the side chips are doing well. They have that kill lead. Objective lead is going to be still on Shinbi's Ghost Wolves. Yes, they're 1-1 on that Fangtooth, but they're able to get that Mini War Prime. They have not been able to use it quite yet to really find some pressure, some get back towards the side of Secret Salsa and side chips, but they're still maintaining a nice pace here. They just can't let the lead get too big, where it's going to be a little rough time heading towards this late game.
I'm going to show the people what E-Square really stands for. Explore and enhance. The word you said, pace, means so much within this game, because throughout this early to now mid game, the pace setters has been the side chips, and a lot of that is coming from Pinzo on a lot of these rotations. They have become a lot more aggressive and enabled through it to play for some of these objectives, to play a little bit more aggressively with him on this Yurei in the jungle.
He's doing an exceptional job, like you pointed out here, Ego. He's definitely setting that pace, that tempo that was needed to get these guys back inside the game. Earlier on, a little bit within that first 5 minutes, it just seemed to be all Shinbi's Ghost Wolves' way, but definitely with a little bit of a shift in that mentality and gameplay, we're allowing for them to get back into this. It's still not over yet. We're into that 15-minute mark. We're still waiting for that third Fangtooth fight. Not the Monty that we're looking for on both of these teams, but still a very important one to set you up for the late game.
I mean, that out of combat movement speed is nothing to sleep on, especially with so many deadly assassins on this map. It is, though, going to be a catch out of one of the maps. They're going to be forced to regroup with their duo. Survivor is going to have Kev Kaioken in this phase at his back.
Backing away there. Greystone, we do see him get a little deep vision on that red side, so it's going to be Shinbi's Ghost Wolves. That's going to be known whenever they're going to push onto that red buff. But third Fangtooth is just around the corner here, Ego. I am seeing Division light up that side of the map. It's going to be Shinbi's Ghost Wolves with the priority on the vision there, but they're going to have to answer back on the side of Secret Sauce and side chips. We're going to see a big fight. We're going to see who comes out on top.
And this vision control is so extremely important, right? Unlike other sports like football, basketball, soccer, whatever your flavor is, you can't see the enemy team at all times. You have to gather information and use it to the best of your ability to make a play that could make or break a game. And it looks like we have a play like that coming up as both teams begin to converge.
Just a little bit of time. I can see the little Jaw song playing, but here comes that Ignite. Looking already. Greystone going to be able to force a flash on FaZe, but just not quite yet. He's looking here to find a kill.
Tulsa showing him while he's the captain. It is going to be use of that reforce to be able to negate the crowds. Has him a reset as he breaks the gates back to its team. Pit control going to go in favor of the Chips.
It is indeed, but look at this backhand side. It's going to be a black hole.
Epoch now going to be utilized by the Iggy and a blink to follow to Kev Kaioken off screen. It's going to off Pinzo Dunzo. That's a lot of damage that falls off Skewer onto 2. But where's the follow-up? Where's the health bar of Empress Tiramisu as she gets shredded down? It's going to be too much damage coming out of Kev Kaioken as now the counter assault has to be prepared. Greystone is going to jump onto the back of Kev Kaioken and bury him. 6 feet deep. Survivor can only try to do what his name reads as he is going to be running for the hills.
On it for the hills indeed, man. What a trade there, 2 for 2. The fight was just so split. We're looking for who's winning, but just one at a time. They just kept falling trade back into trade. And it's going to have to take a reset, and both these teams look back towards this map.
Oh, most definitely. And you can already see where they're going to be making their way to, back towards that objective. A 2,000 gold lead is going to be going in favor of Salsa and his side Chips, though, as they're going to be able to reset whether they want it to or not, get it sent back to base, get a couple items, get the power creep online, and prepare for whatever comes next.
Man, this Greystone is just so confident. JC Wolf piloting this Greystone is just allowing for such a great play. He's 2 levels up on top of this Aurora, so she can't really find too much. The real big impact this Aurora has right now is not necessarily her damage, but her CC in her kit. She's going to have to buy that with that, create some opportunities for the damage dealers on that side of the team of Shinbi's Ghost Wolves to really help her out. But Greystone on the other side of the map, this advantage looks to be on Shinbi's Ghost Wolves.
Oh, most definitely, man. This could potentially be a steal, but the likeliness of it is so incredibly low with the pit control that Shinbi's Ghost Wolves have been able to maintain us. Now, we're going to get an engage, and oh my god, like a pimple, Survivor gets popped. My lord, Mud with the double.
Oh my goodness, and they're not just quite done. Here you go. Rip Flash is going to be offline. It's not going to create any more commotion, and it seems like we are done here. Yurei Pinto is going to be able to get some farm, deal away that blue side jungle buff, but look at the Greystone. Even with a member down, Seeker Salsa and the side Chips lose the second Fang, 2/3 of the game, and they're able to still capitalize on that fight with the exit frags. But Greystone, in the meantime, is like, you know what? I don't even need to be here. I was 2 levels up. Now I'm 3. Inhib is going to be under pressure. Who's going to stop me?
Oh man, and the answer is going to be no one until it does eventually come from a rotation of Survivor who's going to be able to push him back a reset, more than likely going to be coming out of the captain of this side. Salsa putting on quite a show here, and I'm going to point out something that's concerning me just a tiny bit here as this mini prime does go down. Shinbi's Ghost Wolves has been sending the Avengers to all these fights. Solo laner, you got Captain America, Iron Man, everyone is rolling in. And from what we just saw there, the side Chips are sending whoever. You know, you got Kite Man rolling up. We got Polka Dot Fellow making his way in. And somehow, despite losing these objectives, they're still able to get so much value in these team fights that feel like statistically they should be more lopsided.
It should. Well, it's not as lopsided anymore. Yeah, one more kill going towards that dual lane. Great job there.
Didn't respect the game.
Nori did not respect it at all. Rex Reed is going to have to think about his choices there. But like we were talking about earlier, it's going to be a look at gank though. We're going to take a little pause. Yurei is going to be inside.
Severus is going to be able to slice through 2 as it is going to be a Soulstorm that pulls in 1. A 3v1 situation though. Does she have enough damage? No. The question is, does she have enough health? It looks like it may be yes, as she survives. Just barely. Pinzo Denzo is going to be looking for a reset.
Looking for a reset indeed, and Kev Kaioken just looking to put pressure, and Lead is going to look for a flank. Here comes that Greystone.
Now going to be able to take on to 2. It's going to be a force blink out of 1 and the mobility out of another. Pullback phase, getting a lot of value in this game because Shinbi's Ghost Wolves are doing a lot of running in the face of Greystone.
Man, Gray or JC Wolf needs to be careful here. He does have Stone Force. Soul is going to be popped, but not going to be able to find a kill. Cryosym is going to be knocked out, but he has no help by himself. Shut down, hit by Tiramisu coming in there to help her out in that off lane.
Fire and ice. We're going to see the ulti coming out of both Aurora as well as Iggy. Ice in their veins. This team does have Shinbi's Ghost Wolf showing they are still very much so in this game. And with the objective lead, they're just getting comfortable.
Hey, I'm just going to point this out here. I think Nori's playing exceptionally well on this phase. Every time I think somebody's dead, here comes a yoink, here comes a beam, get rooted. And I mean, just absolutely phenomenal play. This dual lane seems to be the life of Shinbi's Ghost Wolves. They're able to keep these guys alive. They're picking up that kill, creating some pressure on the opposite side of the map. When you look at the dual lane, it's going to be Shinbi's Ghost Wolves, in my opinion, that are in the lead over there. And onside that off lane, it'll be that Greystone really creating some pressure. Going to come down to this late game battle, though. A big objective spawned already. We got Big Orb Prime and Primordial Fangtooth getting ready to spawn as well. If one of these lanes make the impact, that's who is going to be the deciding factor of this game, number one.
I do have to just agree with you there. You know, I like to normally build off your points, but it feels like you kind of expanded and it hit every juncture of it. With these big objectives coming up, it is going to come down to a team fight and then a play for the objective and being able to materialize maybe that Primordial Blaze or the Orb Prime buff in order to knock down some of these towers or the enemy members, letting you invade, get all the gold, establish vision, or overall control of this game.
Yeah, but just got time to tell. We're gonna take a small break here. It looks like these teams are just waiting to make a decision. Taking a little bit of time to take a recap. I'm gonna jump on the soapbox here for you here, Ego, and the viewers here listening on in or watching the game themselves. We started this game out, Shinbi's Ghost Wolf, with a nice little lead, getting that first blood and first Fangtooth. And all of a sudden, Secret Sauce and the side chips just look to change the pace of the game. But with Primordial Fangtooth being spawned here, make a trade on both of these teams.
Oh man, this is such a tough position to be in. You do have some key utility to try to steal this away, but your rotation is so behind. It is going to be a conjunction of multiple members, but Glacial Charge is going to be able to create just enough space for this team to steal away the Primal Fangtooth. And now the team fight is going to be on Vidplay. It's going to be used as Kev Kaioken is ready to rumble. Richter, brother, you're supposed to be a tank, and now it looks like he's going to be turned into a +1 for Survivor as they storm forward and get a kill.
They look to try and contest the Primordial Fangtooth without their jungler there, no hunt in sight, and it's going to be Shinbi's Ghost Wolf that secure that Primordial Fangtooth, and that is going to be a huge play because they knew they're going to lose out on the mini prime without the Ure Pinzo Dunzo there, but what they get is huge advantage. That third Fangtooth Monty we keep talking about here on this cast, to be able to get that extra bonus power, bonus armor, and just all around pretty much like a second item going in towards this game, and they are the ones that can be comfortable looking to come back.
Most definitely is. Now it is going to be a forced disengage, but it doesn't really matter. Going to be able to utilize the ulti just to die twice. Kev Kaioken is going to be able to pick up the kill, but the rest of the chips are going to be able to storm surge forward off to the back end. Now Bleak being used out of Survivor as a double. It's going to go into the pocket of Kev Kaioken. A wise man once told me Prime can take objectives. The Fangtooth, the Primordial Blaze, can take lives, and we're seeing it here in game one.
They already took down a 3, then took down another 2 in a secondary engagement. And Shinbi's Ghost Wolves slowly just catching up on kills here. And now this game is pretty dead tight. It's going to come down to one big team fight at the end of this. But let's highlight, like I said, your dual lane on the side of Shinbi's Ghost Wolves are going to have to be the ones to really pull them back into this game. And that is what we're seeing. Kev, my boy, there's a reason why you're number 1 on top of the ranked leaderboards for a time. He's an absolute gamer. And we're seeing it here today with that support from Nori.
And gamers, please do not lead a game stat line for you. 0-3-3, but the objective pressure, she has been doing her job, the captain, helping carry the weight of some of these sieges around the objective. While within that earlier to mid game, we saw Kev Kaioken just getting himself ready to put on the cape in the late game. He's a hero for this squad and the ultimate villain to the side chips.
I mean, villain indeed, but time will tell. We still got a lot of Predecessor here. I know it seems like there's going to be a shift But there has been a shift. There's not a lead really substantial to any one of these teams. Going to be a pretty nice state here. Primordial Fangtooth, the Blaze has been released. The Fire is going to be spawned again here in about 2 to 3 minutes. And the Prime is going to be away from Secret Sauce and the side chips. So we're just looking to make some plays. Both of these teams looking for a pick, any type of advantage to get themselves the lead comfortably.
Yeah, and it's so hard to do now, right? Because Yuri wants to get picks, but we're at this point of the game where there are a lot of group ups and both sides have a little bit of CC, not obscene amount, I would say, but a Riplash could completely ruin the engage that Shinbi's Ghost Wolves are looking for, while on the other side, a well-placed Cryoseism, or even, for some reason, FaZe is able to let rip that root that she has coming off the back end of her beam, could set them up to be able to get a lot of damage, and at the very least, force a reset. It does feel like it kind of comes down to which one of these teams gets the engage they're looking for.
I mean, don't forget that Uri, that Soulstorm, just being able to pull everybody in. One good Soulstorm for one of these Uris piled on, if you look at the side of Secret Sauce and chips, just to be able to use the black hole as well. Stop you from even trying to get away. Gonna have to either utilize a blink or hopefully that phase is close on by. But also that Cryosism on the side of Shimmy Ghost Wolf added on to that Soulstorm. A lot of combos that can be made on both of these teams. So nobody wants to be pushed too far out and nobody wants to be too tight grouped up.
Yeah, looks like both teams, though, are going to be doing a little bit of wave management here. Greystone going to be looking to push out that duo lane, get a little bit of farm in the process, as Uri looks like she was ready to catch the wave, already having had pushed it up a little bit away from that right side inhib, as now both teams are migrating to this left side of the map.
Real Fangtooth is going to be the first to spawn, so they do want to get initiation on it. JC Wolf is going to be the first one inside the pit, looking to make sure they take control of this river. Jimmy's Ghost Wolf, though, is close on by. Remember, they still have that third Fangtooth buff, so they're going to be doing a little bit more damage, have a little bit more armor than the side of Secret Sauce and the side chips.
Most definitely, but speaking of Secret Sauce on the side chips, I do like this theory of play, right? Let's lock down the space around the objective first. Let's not let Iggy into the front door so he can set up and just burn down some of these objectives. Let's make them fight us, and it looks like both squads are ready for the fight.
I mean, they're both ready. They're both lurking here, but they really got to worry about on the side of Shimby Ghost Wolves is that left lane, so they're going to be able to answer that. On the side of Secret Sauce and side chips, though, you have to worry about that off lane. That wave is slowly pushing towards that T2, slowly building up, slowly getting some pressure and creating some space, and someone's going to have to answer that if it takes a little bit too long.
And we talked about a little bit earlier on, right? Excellent wave management. As you can see, Greystone is going to show on map. This is going to give the go here to Shinbi's Ghost Wolves to take over this pit if they want to. They no longer have their most key frontliner, but it looks like, these teams aren't done playing a little bit of footsie. They're just feeling out the water as this team fight is inevitable and gets closer.
Just poking away. Just try to buy some space, buy some time. Looking for a Riplash if you're on the side of Secret Sauce and the side chips, but on Shimby's Ghost Wolf, looking for somebody to poke themselves out and make a mistake. If they're able to capitalize, and that's going to be huge, and it's going to be looking like Greystone is going to be the one caught out here.
Yeah, it's going to be an engage onto him, but he's going to be able to use some utility in order to create the space he needs to preserve a majority of his health bar. That mid lane threat, though, is so incredibly potent. That inhib is going to start taking damage, so Shinbi's Ghost Wolves need to start playing now.
You're going to have to make the play here. Here comes their pursuit. Big Cryosism's going to be popped.
It's going to be able to hit 3 now. Skewer in response as the beam is going to come off on the backside. But Kev Kaioken has the cape on the damage. It's diabolical as Secret Salsa gets absolutely eviscerated. Astro is going to be able to get the kill on Taranturito, and these members are falling down like dominoes. A 3-3 trade.
My goodness, split fight, and they still come out even, but the real winners right now are going to be Shimby's Ghost Wolves. Look at their wave management, pushing out those waves. They do need to answer this mid lane, but that's 1 compared to 2 on the side of Secret Sauce and the side chips that they have to answer here.
Yeah, man, and now with that wave management, being able to push up, they can make a play to clear out the jungle, establish vision, maybe play for the objective, although that would be pretty hard to do. Not the hardest thing, but pretty risky to do, I should say, with just the TB in the Uri. That being said, it looks like they're going to be migrating towards that side of the map, and we might see a pool.
I see a pull indeed. They do have the damage here, a little bit of sustain on that Ray. So they're going to be able to at least kind of get a little optimization. The big bad problem here for both of these teams, there you go, is there is no vision. The only vision we really see up is going to be on the side of Shinbi's Ghost Wolves. So right now, on the side of Secret Sauce and the side chips, they're going in blind.
Dude, I know Teamfight is about to start, but I need to get this out of my system. Them provoking the Fangtooth in order to get the IQ to get off to see if the other side will be baited into taking the engage. Excellent just micro play there, as now we're going to see a Soul Storm does come out. It does land on the Kev Kaioken, but the damage just not enough, as Shinbi's Ghost Wolves is going to be able to lock down that Primordial Fangtooth. But onto the other side, it's going to be the rallying chips who are going to be able to bring a little extra crunch to the engage. Now it's going to be a full 3-2 scramble. Big Black Hole going to go over the top, as it is going to be a shutdown onto Kev Kaioken. It is maybe okay, though, for the chips, as one by one, these HP bars are getting oh so low, and with FaZe being the last one on the map, we are going to see the chips run for the prime.
Man, what a great exit frag there for Secret Salsa and the side chips. We saw them do that to get themselves back into the game earlier on, able to capitalize on the Fangtooth pit, and they're able to do it once again. They're just a risky play there from the side of Shinbi's Ghost Wolves. Nobody was really around. Great job by Pinzo there, being able to capitalize on just forcing the pressure into that pit, getting a lot of damage out while having the second member for him, that Primordial Fangtooth burn, being able to help him trade in some damage. And now with that, they have the advantage over the Orb Prime. Only the phase is up, but there's still time for this game to go on.
I mean, look at these timers on them. This is going to be an easy pickup of the objective, and they don't necessarily run for the prime. They go for more of a bit of a brisk walk. They know they have all the time in the world, so they're going to get their power spike, play the prime, and then maybe a couple of them reset, but more than likely, we're going to see this team starting to group and make plays for these inhibs.
They're going to have that big Orb Prime, and like you were saying earlier, we use that Prime to secure these neutral objectives. Talking about these towers now, they're going to be able to have those minion waves enhanced to be a little bit more healthy and to help them kind of siege themselves to try and get a victory here today. But they're going to have to make sure they do it in a very strategical way. They can't just bum rush it like they do if they have the Primordial Fangtooth. That Blaze is not going to be there to help them into those trades. They're going to have to make sure they split the attention off the Shinbi Ghost Wolves there. They can't be grouped up for Kev Kaioken to be able to do the damage that he needs to do, or to have that Iggy there with their turrets to poke them out. They're going to need to push all three lanes and force Shinbi's Ghost Wolves to take an answer here.
Dude, look how incredibly close this game has been, at least until the goal differential was expanded in the splitting of that last team fight. It's going to be a plus 4.5k that is going to be able to swing the way of Salsa and his side chips, as with this objective, as you said, they're going to be looking to split the pressure and one by one take down these neutral objectives.
Oh, baby, this is where the games are won or the games are saved. On the side of Shinbi Ghost Wolf, they're looking for a stalwart defense here, being stoic in nature. Can they do it here? Ego, the ways are lining up. The shift is going to be over towards the mid lane and side of the dual lane. Can Iggy clear? Can this T be held?
I'm going to reuse an oldie but a goodie here, Rev 6. I'm looking at Kev Kaioken Diamonds. They're only made under pressure, and right now it is all on Shinbi's Ghost Wolves. You guys are the returning champions, and as you said, if you want to be the man, you have to beat the man. And Kev Kaioken has to stand tall with this squad and not be beaten as this team's primary damage.
Going to be the dual lane that's now going to be having that enhanced minion wave. They're looking for the rotation. They're poking everybody out. But look at this defense, and here comes Ray.
Soulstorm onto 2 is going to be able to drag them in, but the Cryosize on well timed is going to be able to split the team fight. Survivor is going to be able to pick up the first kill onto Regerator, as the Epoch is going to have to be used, so she doesn't get popped. It's going to be a double as Secret Salsa is going to fall. Ultimately, 3 members lose their life, as it's Shinbi's Ghost Wolves who stand tall.
Stand tall indeed. What a confident fight there coming out of Shinbi's Ghost Wolf. Survivor said, hey, I'm ready to fight. I don't care about this prime. I'm going to take this to them. They did that. Picked up the triple kill onto their side. They only lost 1 member on their team, but they still have to worry about that Greystone. He's looking to keep pressuring out the waves, but he needs to be careful here on the side of JC Wolf. You are Greystone, but you don't want to be caught out, especially when you don't have the numbers.
I'm going to be honest, man. I'm going to, take a couple step backs in the past and replace Kev Kaioken, who did a lot of damage there, right? Made a huge impact. I'm just going to insert Survivor's name into there. Hey, put a little bit of respect on the game. She, her, they, them in that team fight. He showed he's him, being able to help lock down 3 and keep the Ghost Wolves in this game.
They do, but what is going to be the advantage of Secret Sauce and the side chips is there is no hunt here, but the numbers advantage is their name. Kev Kaioken looking to delete Mud. Big Ewan coming out of Nori here to save the day, and that might be the opening that they needed, and a Primordial Feint to burns down.
8 years in Space Wizard College just to get taken down by a guy with 2 guns. My lord. The debt, it's not adding up as Kev Kaioken with his Primordial Blaze. No, the entirety of Shinbi's Ghost Wolves are going to be a raid boss level threat in these next team fights.
I mean, it's going to be all around that Orb Prime pit, and the shift is back towards Shinbi's Ghost Wolves here. They have control with that Primordial Blaze. Can we see Secret Sauce and the side chips, though, mount a defense like Shinbi and the Ghost Wolf just did to defend themselves from that Orb Prime push? I think it's going to come down to JC Wolf here being a little bit more smart on his engages, waiting for his team, and he cannot get caught out.
Speaking of getting caught out, it is going to be an engage here onto the Greystone. That Stone Fort Soul going to be used preemptively, but the team fight is going to be closed off as Salsa gets bursted down, as JC Wolf, my apology, is going to get bursted down here. Now it's going to be a rotation of Shinbi's Ghost Wolves to this mid as they're going to start pushing for these tier 2s.
Oh man, this is a comeback if you ever seen one. They're able to get back themselves inside that driver's seat. Huge pickup there. And once again, we're seeing the Ventilate utilized to poke out the enemy from even trying to engage and stop this T2 from going down. We do see, though, that all members are in this mid lane. Not too much pressure on the side lanes. Some answering coming out of Secret Sauce and the side chips. All these plays are looking over towards the big Orb Prime pit. Yes, they don't have Greystone for 36 seconds, but can they stall is the real question coming out of Salsa.
Oh, most definitely, man. And I think they can. These objectives, they are very good, but they don't last forever, right? You can wait out some of this Primordial Blaze. What you're going to try to do is mitigate the amount of advantage they can get while they have it. Or Prime, though, it's going to spawn it. At this point, it is going to force a fight coming out of not just the Ghost Wolves, but chips are going to have to answer.
And already Drongo's going to be a little bit late. Ladies and gentlemen, the Orb Prime has been secured by Shinbi's Ghost Wolves. Primordial Fang Tooth, though, is going to be on the upside of Secret Sauce and the side chips. That's going to run out here in the next 20 seconds or so. So if they get to buy it at least one more wave, which it looks like they are doing, they might be able to have an advantage going into this next fight.
Yeah, now, though, it does look like all of the advantage is going to be maintained with SGW. They're just going to be able to meander around this outer inhib because any fight within the last 5-10 minutes that has been taken by the side of the side chips has been, let's be honest about it, disadvantageous at the very best. But now the minions are in.
They're in here, and look at JC Wolf trying to prioritize getting that wave out. The black hole hits on the back line, and here comes the Cryosystem. Big pull ego.
It's going to be followed up with the skewer. That's just going to be Lita Games, who's going to be able to pick up the kill onto, but all 5 members of Shinbi Ghost Wolves are still going to be alive. As now, it's going to be a play on to the Richter. He's going to get bursted down, broken back. F6, please get me some TP. We might have a wipe on our hands, but it is going to be Drongo who manages to survive the onslaught, as now they don't have eyes for the inhib. They're going to be looking towards the core.
They're looking at TP. Is getting aggressive. You go. Oh!
Most indeed, as we can see, this team fight is going to just determine the outcome of this game. Ladies and gentlemen, it is going to be Shinbi's Ghost Wolves who take this game and maintain the throne.
My goodness, what a almost defense. They're coming out of Secret Salsa with that Drongo, but just not quite yet. Great, outstanding performance there from both of these teams. This is such a close match. I think it's one of the closest matches we've had today here at Ego. But coming out, Shinbi's Ghost Wolves are going to be the one on top. Kev, my goodness, Nori inside that duo lane just created so much havoc, carry their team to get into that bot.
Yeah, man, and I have to say, Shinbi's Ghost Wolves just put on a performance of endurance throughout that game, seeing themselves fall behind, but just keeping to their game plan, allowing the compounding advantage of these objectives to build, and ultimately allowing Kev, as well as their jungler, their Yuri, to take over some of these late game team fights. A phenomenal game coming out of both of these competitive teams.
Phenomenal game indeed. But we're going to throw it back to the desk here to see what they have to break on down. GG's to everybody around. And we're going to be seeing some more games here today.
Thank you so much, Ego. Thank you, F6. What a fantastic game. Thank you, Shinbi Ghost Wolves and Secret Salsa and the side chips for putting on such a show. But guys, there could only ever be one victor. And Shinbi's Ghost Wolves, they won their last Creator Cup. They're not looking to slow themselves down. They seem to be poised to make a return.
They're looking very strong, and especially if they can keep these prio picks onto Kev, who for a good portion of that game was all that Shinbi's Ghost Wolves really had going for it. It took a little bit of time for Survivor to get on, for the rest of everybody else to catch up as well. But what a performance out of the Pentakill King, Kev Kaioken.
Yeah, I mean, it taps off to that entire duo lane. In fact, I want to give a shout out here to Nori as well, our console player being able to debut here into the PCG, converted into this team with the championship team, and they didn't lose any caliber. Hats off again to Empress for switching over, like we mentioned before, from that support role over to that solo lane. Isn't the easiest transition to make, but I want to take nothing away from Salsa and the side chips. I will say Pinto has had a phenomenal performance throughout the course of this day, playing very well on that Yurei, showing the skill set that that character has and using it to the highest tier we've seen.
Yeah, it's always tough to really shine when you're in one of those mirror matches, but Enzo certainly has been doing it kind of throughout the day. He's been consistently very good on that pick. And if I am one of the teams looking at facing Secret Salsa and the side chips in the future, I'm kind of worried about that. I mean, what can you really do? Are you gonna ban away Yuri in the Creator Cup Showcase? You know, probably not. You want to pick that for yourself, but can you outperform him? It's a tall task. Hopefully someone's up to it, though.
I'm sure that somebody will be up to it. Survivor, into the later sides of that game, was also able to kind of get that gold lead, get ahead on it a little bit. Yurei actually is unbannable. Both teams free to pick it each game if they want to. So I would expect to see it on both sides over and over again for the remainder of the event.
Yeah, I think the one thing to point out here as we do look back at this match for the final time is just the switch up, moving Salsa over from that solo lane where we saw such dominant performance into that duo lane, putting that pressure in to say, hey, you're going to be taking on Kev Kaioken. He's one of the top players in the game. Show what you got. Was overall a good performance by Salsa, but Kev just able to get that edge.
You said Kev Kaioken, star player there. Everyone did their part eventually, but Kev certainly kept things going for the Ghost Wolves. That's going to do it for this game, but stay tuned because we got more action coming right on up after the break.
The beast has finally been unleashed with the arrival of Predecessor's latest hero, Boris. Once a noble spirit guardian, a twist of fate left Boris in dark hands, who melded man-eater and machine to create a devastating living weapon. Boris's passive ability is Tesseract Device, where every second basic attack against heroes and monsters fills a canister on the device on Boris's back. Each canister filled fuels Boris further, granting additional attack speed as well as on-hit healing. Once all 4 of Boris's canisters are filled, the Tesseract Core activates, unleashing powerful shocks to enemies on hit, dealing extra damage and potent self-healing. Boris's primary ability is Detection Protocol, where he focuses his incredible sense of smell to sniff out a nearby enemy hero. If Boris catches a scent, the enemy will be marked and a trail will appear leading him towards the target, granting him a boost of movement speed while following the trail. Dealing damage to the enemy hero consumes the mark and slows them for a short duration, while also filling a canister for his passive ability. Detection Protocol is an incredible tool for initiating ganks, even if there's no vision in the lane. However, be aware that marking a target with this ability will alert them to your presence, so timing is critical. Boris's secondary ability is Primeval Roar, where he steals himself, projecting a defensive barrier to reduce damage for a short duration. After the duration, Boris unleashes a gut-wrenching roar to explode the barrier, dealing huge damage to all enemies in the vicinity, sending them reeling in fear for a short duration. Combine this ability with Detection Protocol to quickly get behind the enemy and fear them into your teammates. Chrono Swipe is Boris's alternate ability, where he dashes forward, slashing twice at all enemies in his path, dealing physical damage and on-hit effects. This ability is extremely versatile, enabling Boris to dash through enemies to get behind them and set up his Primeval Roar, or simply dodge enemy abilities, escape tricky situations, or reposition. Boris's ultimate ability is Ursine Burst, where he hovers above the ground before blasting forward and seizing the first enemy hero he collides with. With the enemy firmly in his claws, Boris then leaps into the air and slams them into the ground, dealing massive damage to the target and all enemies in the blast radius, as well as slowing them for a short duration. Combine this ability with Detection Protocol for lightning quick and seriously powerful ganks. Boris relies on his basic attacks to dispatch his enemies, so try building into items such as Sky Splitter when looking to dish out hefty damage to opponents and take down tankier targets, or items like Rapture when looking for a healthier mix of damage and durability. Unleash the beast with Boris. Coming to Predecessor on Xbox, PlayStation, and PC.
You were my master, my teacher. But all you really taught me was what it feels like to be betrayed.
Your insolence dishonors us all. Wukong! I told you to stay away.
Haven't you figured it out yet? I never listen. Not all bonds are physical, but in the end, they all break.
I cannot believe how amazing both those teams played, and what a great video to cap things off. But guys, as good as that game was, the day only gets better from here. We got a star-studded lineup for the next match. One team that you're very familiar with. We just saw the Shinbi's Ghost Wolves face off against Secret Salsa and his side chips. Now they got to do it again against Bear Force 1.
And it's a rematch of our first Creator Cups finals, and there's a lot on the line as this as well. The winner of this automatically sent straight to the grand finals, which will take place tomorrow, with a 1-0 lead going into it as well.
And that 1-0 lead is very crucial. And if you're on the side of the Bear Force 1, you have to have all the energy come to this one to get this win. You want to take that chance back to say, you won the last one, but it's not going to be so free easy in this one. We know how you guys play. We know what we have to do, and we're here to make it happen.
This almost feels kind of like a warm-up for both teams, right? They faced each other in the finals before. They both have intentions of making it to the finals again. So Bear Force 1 is definitely taking this time to kind of scout out the Ghost Wolves, and it leads to this kind of conundrum of, do you reveal your full hand? Do you show them everything you've got? Because you don't want to take a spill here and then get knocked out of finals. It's a tough line to walk.
It is a tough line to walk. Fortunately for both of these teams, they are on the winner side of this. So with this being a double elim, neither one of these teams losing will spell an end to their tournament run. However, that advantage of being up 1-0 in a best-of-3 series where you get into it and the enemy has to beat you 2 games in a row and you just have to win 1 out of 2, that feels great and very relieving going into those finals with the pressure that can be put on you there.
That is an absolute bit of confidence, and that's what you want to have. You want to go into that and say, hey, you have to beat us 2 times in a row with no errors in order to get that. But if you're on the side of Bear Force 1, you said we've been here before. Like I said, you got to feel comfortable doing that. Both these teams feeling very warmed up. But the thing I would really focus on here is based on the performances we've seen in the previous PCG, and to include that performance we just saw, I wouldn't be surprised if we see some pretty strong targeting of Kev, maybe try to keep a little bit of extra presence inside of that duo lane, maybe even some draft bans to keep him off those characters we know he's so comfortable with. That performance on TV was absolutely insane. If he's able to get on a character and perform a role again early into a matchup, it can be very strong. They did have to do that in the mid to late game in that set, and I expected Kev to start off on a much better note this game.
I mean, he's already warmed up, right? And the last one, you had Cold Kev, right? Maybe the fingers aren't moving quite as quickly, as dexterously as he would like them to be. Now, he's in his groove. Everyone's in their groove. Everyone was able to put up a very strong performance. There's a downside to this as well, right? Shinbi's Ghost Wolves just played. Bear Force 1 had a little bit of time to see some of that gameplay, get a little bit more information, maybe get a little scouting done during that time. So now with that extra information, let's see how they decide to approach the draft. Let's get right into it.
And I would say that if you're on the side of Bear Force 1, I don't think you can necessarily ban Kev out, but targeting Nori might be the way to go here. Very well known for being that phase player, which facilitates and allows pretty much any ADC to have full roam, kind of go where they want, overextend a little bit. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a phase ban come out, but it will be Faye taken off first.
Faye's interesting ban. We haven't seen her a lot in these games, so to see that ban isn't something that I would exactly I would have expected. However, like you said, I do think there is a good chance of some targeting ban. If you cannot single out Kev, maybe you single out Nori. She did have a fantastic form in the phase. We do see that ban come out, but I wouldn't be surprised. People do believe Nori is a one-trick player and that phase is all she has, but I think they're going to be really surprised to see this complete repertoire and what she can do on some of these other supports.
I mean, if you're going to ban the Fae, you might as well finish the word and ban out the phase as well. Now, it's not too surprising. Still got a few more bans to go. Kwang, no surprise there. He's been incredibly dominant for a while now in multiple roles. Lance, you've spoken on just how powerful this pick is. If this is who you're banning away, who are you looking at the first pick? Yurei's probably not a great one to first pick since you know that you're going to be securing that either way. What are you looking for?
I mean, I think it depends on what this next ban comes through. I wouldn't be surprised to see it be a Greystone or potentially an Iggy that comes through. It is going to be the Iggy. No, so the 2 power picks up that I see left are the Revenant and the Greystone. Wouldn't be surprised to get those through in this first rotation out of Bear Force 1.
I mean, if you go with the pick here and you get the Revenant on Shinbi's Ghost Wolves, I think that's very scary. We saw the performance that Kev was able to have with the Twin Blast, and we know what the Revenant is capable of. Can be very strong. We do see the Gadget pick come out, which is something that we know Lita is very fond of, one of her favorite mid laners, something that she worked very well with in the PCG 1. Excited to see it here for the first time in the PCG tournament, second time.
It's always good to get that comfort pick going for you, especially in kind of a crucial game like this, right? Sure, no one gets knocked out, but you're really driving for that one game up, and it's down to this one. If you can get it, you're feeling good. Meanwhile, answers on the board. Steel and Bellica coming out. Lance, what are you thinking here?
Well, the Steel and the Deck are pretty good pickups here, trying to get a comfort pick onto Electric Boogie in that support role for Bear Force 1 early. But you know, anybody who knows me knows I have to talk about this Gadget for a second. Gadget mains rise up in the chat. We love seeing that picked up early in it. Has a lot of good matchups, pretty interesting augments with the R&B being able to chase a little bit faster. Also going to be followed up here with the Zinks and one more pick coming through. It will be that Revenant for Kev. And yeah, you might not be able to have the leash and the pole, but you got a second life with that Zinks.
And we do see that repeat pickup here for the Decker and the Steel, as you'd mentioned. Very good, staying with your comforts on the side of Bear Force 1. But I want you to know, I do love this Revenant pickup if Kev can get on that roll. And I want you guys to know that Nori can play this Zinx very well. I've seen it time and time again in her streams. And I'm excited for her to be able to debut it for everyone else live here in front of the community.
And there you have it. This Rev has been noted to be very strong in the meta right now. Lance, I know you were talking about him maybe even being the best ADC that you can currently pick in the game. Then Argus locked in on the other side. Next to Belka, it's probably clearly Argus mid lane. But what do you think makes this Revenant so strong, and is he strong into this Steel specifically as well?
So Steel has a good opportunity to block a bunch of that damage. That wall can block the entire Obliterate, can block that fourth shot too, but it does have a cooldown. It does have, Kev is very comfortable playing around it. They're going to ban out that natural counter pick to Revenant with that Sparrow, which I think is an excellent third ban coming out of Shinbi's Ghost Wolves.
I think that ban is very crucial, Lance. I'm glad you highlighted that. There's a lot of damage the Sparrow can do, and I'm surprised we haven't seen her yet in this tournament. She's a very strong carry. I believe she's in a much better place than we've seen her in competitive markets so far.
See, now all of a sudden everybody loves the Sparrow. I've been singing the Sparrow's praises for months. Now she gets a couple augments, meta changes a little bit, and all of a sudden, oh, Spooky, you were so right. It's okay. I will accept your apologies. You can mail them to me or email them or send them through the Discord. It's totally okay however you want to do it. Yurei, locked in, no surprise. Sevarog rounds out the draft for the Ghost Wolves. This is one they didn't get to play last game. How you feeling?
I mean, I think it's looking pretty good. You can combo that Soulstorm out of the Yurei into a big subjugate, put the Tesla Dome right on top of it, and that is a metric ton of damage that can be coming out in that direct little tiny spot, especially within those pits. If you can get some good spots off, the Seraph going to be picked up last. Seraph has been raising Kane in my solo queue games. I expect her to do something very similar in this competitive game as well.
Yeah, I do think the Seraph is a great pickup here. You have a fairly squishy set of team of targets outside of that Sevrog, so I'd expect her to have a pretty strong performance coming out of the jungle. But I will say, the Sev so far, what we've seen, we did get the one performance out of Salsa. I think the Empress has a chance to really make it shine as well. I think Sev is in a very good spot in this patch, and I would love to see what she can do on the side of her team.
Well, this is an interesting final pick for me because, I mean, I probably don't have to spell it out for our viewers, but I will highlight the fact that we do not have the Yurei mirror match in this game. So not having to worry about who's ahead, who falls behind there. But talk to me about the value that the Seraph brings over that Yurei and why you might opt for that rather than going into that mirror match.
Well, especially with the Ashbringer build on the Seraph, she can continuously stay within her Q, which makes her untargetable, makes her not take damage other than from the AoE. So if that Soulstorm comes out, Seraph can block a lot of the crowd control that is available, get herself out after it is over to not get wombo comboed in within this. I actually think the Seraph pick last is a great complement and counter pick into that, and I think it gives Bear Force 1 the edge.
I do want to reiterate and target that Seraph call with the Q as well, because with that immunity, you also have a good chance of getting on those prime buffs and those Fang 2 buffs, and you get that immunity and a chance to lay that smite. I think those are fantastic counters, and like you said, if you want to get out of that Soulstorm alt, you just pop that Q, maybe negate that damage and that CC. There's a lot of potential there for the Seraph to counter out the Yurei.
All right. So, Ritter, it sounds like maybe you agree with Lance there about Bear Force 1 having a slight edge?
I think I'm willing to agree with that. I think that they have a nice chain of CC. They've got a little sustain with the Steel and a lot of chance to actually secure down some quick kills. Like I said before, previously, is they just need to make sure they can focus on Kev. Kev had a very strong performance in the mid to late game. That last one, they cannot let him roll that momentum through the course of this match.
There's nothing I hate more than hearing people agree with Lance. Lance, tell me something good about Ghost Wolves. I'm tired of hearing about the Bear Force 1 now.
Well, they've got the hardest hitting ADC in the game. Rev can crit for upwards of... Yeah, well, Kev Kaioken, but Rev specifically. He can crit for upwards of 2k as he gets closer to his full build. There's really not a lot of tank potential on the side of Bear Force 1 outside of that Steel. So if Kev can get rolling and they can continuously peel him the correct way, he can really take this game over, just like we saw in the last one.
All right, well, there you have it, my friends. We've heard from our analysts, as amazing and talented as they are, but now it's time to hear from some more talented people. I take you back to the game. I take you back to Ego and F6.
Gamers, welcome back. You know who it is in the casting booth. It's Ego, F6E Squared, rocking back with you for a legendary rematch. It's going to be Bear Force 1 lining up against Shinbi's Ghost Wolves.
The rematch of all time. Here we got on the Creator Cup Season 2. The same finals that we had inside Season 1. But this one's not quite the finals just quite yet. This one's going to be setting yourself up to have the advantage in the Grand Finals tomorrow. Bear Force 1, Shinbi's Ghost Wolves, they are not afraid of each other. These two matchups are not new either.
I have to agree with you there, and I kind of want to immediately hop into something Lance Sharp, straight to the point, said on the desk, was how good of a counter pick this Seraph can be potentially to the Yuri here. We're going to be seeing on Shinbi's Ghost Wolves with this Ashbringer 90% of the time immune build.
I mean, yeah, it's spicy. I mean, there's a reason why in a lot of the top ranks, Seraph is not allowed to play the game of a Predecessor. She is a dominant opponent to go against. The cooldowns with the Ashbringer and such low cooldowns by itself is really such a big prime play. Something she has to worry about, though, is that long cooldown on her Ascension going into this game. If she's not able to get out of certain situations, she gets CC'd on down by that Ricochet, by that Subjugate, and she gets pulled on in without being able to press her Q in the right time. She's going to be very vulnerable, and that might be the play that Shinbi's Ghost Wolves are looking for.
Yeah, like everything at this competitive level is a little bit of give and take, right? Like this Revenant, he has next to no mobility, and they're going to have to properly peel for him throughout this game to be able to get this explosive damage across, especially with the new augment that allows him to ignore a degree of that bonus damage. That being said, though, who could doubt Kev Kaioken at this point from what we saw from him within the last Creator Cup, within the last game itself? We know that if you give him the time, he can just take over.
Indeed. I mean, last game, he just completely took over the game and just completely allowed for Shinbi's Ghost Wolves to be able to get themselves back into the footing against Secret Salsa and the side chips. But with Bear Force 1, though, it looks like they have their number. They're able to watch that match, be able to kind of get a little bit of a feel of how SGW is going to be kind of putting themselves up against BFO in this series here today.
Most definitely, man. And as things are going to be a little bit more slow rolling, we know Predecessor can be very contingent on the not just players, but the team play styles. We could start at a run, or we could still be in the moment of doing stretches. But with it being a little bit slower right now, I kind of want to get in your head and ask, which one of these team compositions overall do you favor?
Oh, man, you put me on the spot here. I know these people are like, hey, you didn't pick me. You didn't pick me as your favorite. Well, I'm just going by just heroes here. Nobody with the play styles. I'm going to go with Shinbi's Ghost Wolves. I love the Revenant late game's damage. If he's able to even get a little bit of a lead, not even be able to kind of get behind, he's going to be annihilating everybody in sight. That's really going to be the big factor when it comes towards team fighting. Not only that, but his ultimate, being able to send somebody in another realm, like the jungler, for instance, in an objective fight, will give them the hunt advantage immediately.
Rotation now coming from the jungler as the advantage is firmly going to be going to the hands of Shinbi's Ghost Wolves. They heard the call in F6. They couldn't agree more. First blood to Kev Kaioken.
Getting the Rudolph, getting the Ricochet, a lot of CC in that lane, but here comes a counter gank on the opposite side of the map, Ascension into a stun, but Subjugate is going to be near all by.
Brother, take your hands off the keyboard. The combination of CC there was absolutely brutal, as now it is going to be a blink that comes out, but is it going to amount to anything? A couple shots being taken here by the Steel, but he can't endure for much longer as three members are going to pincer around the Severog. Brother, what did she do? Empress Tiramisu was going to go down. Survivor looking to get it back, though, as it's going to be a blink into a kill for Survivor TV.
Picking up a nice little trade there. The criminality going on over inside of that off lane. I mean, you send the entire... I mean, where's the police? Where is Murdoch? Somebody needs to lock them on up. But it's going to be Shinbi's Ghost Wolves going to still prevail here throughout that gank. Going to be able to be 2-1 in the kill lead. A little bit of an advantage. Still got some time, though, because the first Faint Tooth is getting ready to spawn here shortly.
And, you know, this is where a little bit of the credit is going to go to Empress Tiramisu, because me, personally, brother, I am molding. I am tilted at that point, but I have no doubt in my mind that she's going to be able to roll back in the lane, get themselves a few stacks, and then contribute in not a small way, in a very large way, a colossal way, some would say, to this mid to late game when Severalki is going to be the most comfortable. SGW, Shinbi's Ghost Wolves on top for the kills, but that could change at any moment.
It changed. I also like what you did there with a colossal impact. I see what you did. Wordplay goes crazy. That's the only compliment you get from me today. But it's going to be a good one indeed. It's definitely going to have to wait for a little bit of time here. But time is running out on this first spawn of the Fangtooth 2-1, and it is spawned here. Now decisions are going to have to be made towards neutral objectives. Who is going to be able to prevail over getting the dominant presence over it at the first one? If you're able to get the first one, you're already setting yourself up for the 3 Fangtooth Monty here, Eagle. And we're looking, and it looks like Rev is going to have the first hit.
It looks like right now BFO is more concerned with setting themselves up to survive, as it is going to be an engage coming out of the jungle here. Seraph going to be able to ascend atop Rev, but Kev Kaioken getting real close to sending her to hell. That's onto the back end. We're going to have a team fight looking like it might break out. Trollgate is going to go out in order to lock down 2 as the beam is going to go up. Tesla Dome is surprisingly not going to hit a singular person, as it is going to be the ulti used here by Survivor TV. Kev Kaioken ultimately going to be able to get a kill off screen, as there's going to be some very low health bars. Kev gets the double. Kev gets the triple. He's looking for more. The pentakill is on the house. 4 members down. Kev strikes again.
Strikes 1, 2, 3, 4 times, often in the dual lane. We talk about 1 shot, 2 shot, 3 shot, 4, and there is what we saw. Kev on a streak. Shinbi's Ghost Wolves looking to take this game into the finals.
Kev Kaioken looking for a kill per minute momentum. My God, this lead would have me in shambles, absolute tears. But luckily enough for us, BFO, a way more mentally well-constructed team. They got the fortitude, they got the endurance to go into deep waters and find out who they really are. And at this point, they're going to need to, with the lead Kev, this Revenant, has been able to develop.
Yeah, I mean, they're not going to have to send a 3-man gank over towards the solo lane anymore. They're going to have to send a 5-man gank over towards that dual lane. Somebody needs to stop that man, Kev, because right now he's looking healthy. The economy, the not only neutral objective, but the kills that he was able to receive there, he is going to be a problem into this mid to late game.
I mean, you know, I don't want to glaze him too hard, right? We're only like 7-8 minutes into the game, but the brother killed everyone who was present. The only thing that saved the opposition's life was them not being on that part of the map, although you know he was looking for it. The bounty hunter Revenant himself got a big bag of gold to take back to base, and if they're able to compound on that lead, grow it throughout this game with not only the kill lead they have, but the objectives throughout that mid to late, I have no doubt in my mind we could see Kev in the entirety of Shinbi's Ghost Wolves take over.
We could see that indeed, but something that's going to might possibly be able to stop this big Kev is going to be that steal. Once he starts to participate in these fights, I don't think they have enough CC to stop that man from running rampant inside that back line. So that might be the answer that BFO needs going into a next objective fight. It is going to be, though, for the mini prime, Shinbi's Ghost Wolf taking that lead, pushing it all over into that off lane, and Gadget is going to be surprisingly the one that picks up that mini or prime.
You know, you say going into the next objective fight, but so far within this match, we haven't seen BFO fight back, as Kevin it's going to be looking to take a fight to the dual lane. Yet again, a rotation, though, from the jungle could mitigate the damage that he has dealt, as he may be a little overextended. It's going to be descended into a blink to get on top of the carry here. Zeke's now going to be playing the space off the back in order to try to preserve the life of their carry. Particle Shredder does come out as the ulti is going to be able to preserve the life of Kev and the Seraph, but ultimately it's going to be the enemy side jungler who does get the kill, but Survivor on the rotation is going to shut down the shutdown. Now it's going to be a Severance as she cuts the tie between life and death. It's going to be 2 who fall to Survivor, and he's looking for more.
A man hit a little bit of a flip there, getting out of that Eon Blast. Going to be able to create some separation. Great rotation there by Survivor, but huge shutdown there. And I think, in my opinion, worth it for that Sarah to capitalize on that economy, giving a little bit of life back into BFO there. They know they have to shut him down, and they did. But this opens up a lot of pressure. The rotation from Argus allowing Lita to push into here, but she has no mana. Speedgate utilized, but the Ascension stun is upon us.
Speedgate is going to be utilized, does buy her a little bit of space, but is it going to be enough? A blink is going to have to be used. That Dread Nova would have basically sealed her fate, and as such, that's going to be a reset coming out of SGW's mid.
And just enough getting the blink out of there. She needs to be careful though, because that is going to be one of her main mobility tools utilized. She still has that speed gate, but she's going to have to be careful at any time. She is going to get rotated on into that mid. She did get 2 plates though, a little bit of gold towards her name, going to be able to help her out. And we know how well Gadget scales into this late game.
Yeah, now we're seeing over here in the solo lane, Empress is going to phase through Steel, while Steel's going to immediately run through him on the back, and Decker is going to be in the kill zone, and as such, Kev Kylan is going to be able to pick it up. That's going to be another +1 to the carry with a hot 6-1 start.
Man, those bullets are hurting. He's only got 4 in the chamber, but those things are magnums, just pumping out so much damage. He's also able to get the root off, which he's utilizing very well. He knows his opportunities. He knows his kill potential. He also knows he has a substantial lead right now, and there's not too much other than sending the whole team to really stop him, especially with that Zinc Snare on by.
Most definitely, man, especially with that Ricochet appeal for when things can get a little bit hairy, or that ulti to completely rebuild him at a genetic level. We've only seen him get threatened once, and now the Fangtooth is going to get threatened for the second time. Getting taken easily, though, by SGW, as it's going to be BFO Bear Force 1 who's going to have to retreat.
Gonna have to retreat indeed, and the rotation just not in time. The second Fangtooth of the game goes over towards Shinbi's Ghost Wolves. They're taking complete control of this map. With that Steel rotating also allows for the Sev, Empress Tiramisu, to be able to just push on into that lane, get free stacks, get free plates, and get herself into that late game position we know that Sev wants to be.
And that's what the thing about a lead, right, within a MOBA, especially one that has been so well established in lane, how threatening you are pulls the game towards you. Competition is at its hottest around a singular person, and right now that's Kev. They're having to allocate more resources to attempt to knock him down a peg, and because of that, Empress is benefiting.
Oh man, huge ricochet there, just being able to stall everybody from even trying to engage. They're trying to find something, gank after gank. Just Ro can't really find too much just yet, but it's going to be the Argus being able to peel for himself. Trying to tell Survivor, not here, not in this mid lane. A lot of resets coming out, and still not too much yet for BFO.
It's going to be a rotation once again from the solo laners. He's going to be looking to get active. Tesla Dome is going to come down over to the back end. However, it's not doing that nearly enough damage to threaten this Steel as Survivor. It's going to have to focus on his namesake and just get out of dodge.
Just get out of dodge there. Going to be able to save his life a little bit longer. Another field K coming out of BFO. Seems like Shinbi Ghost Wolves has their number. This game just not quite over yet. We still have a little bit more time in this early game to see how BFO changed their strategy. Talked a little bit earlier about they need to rotate this big man Steel. They're preoccupy the Rev while they single out the pretty much other members of SGW. But we're going to have to wait to see how well that impact is going to play out.
I mean, the phrasing couldn't be any more perfect. Yes, they do have their number in the entirety of this game. They've been calling the bluff. 13 minutes in, this team in SGW is playing incredibly aggressive, and it has almost exclusively benefited them. They've been able to lock down both of these objectives, and with that Fangtooth on its way, not quite yet at that 50% threshold, I'm expecting them to try to get a pick and then get yet another objective, something they have been able to do so well.
So well indeed. I mean, definitely better than I can. I mean, half the time I'm out there just yelling at my screen. So I'm glad to see people playing a lot better than I am here today. But Kev looking to seek out somebody here, and he does get the room, gets him down in one shot. Sit down, Team B.
Brother put him on a t-shirt. 4 shots, he got folded. Kev Kaioken extending the lead by 1 while Survivor extends it by 2. This is an absolute onslaught as 3 members are gonna fall, dissipate, evaporate off the field. It's gonna be Shinbi's Ghost Wolves making a play for the mini prime.
Oh my goodness. You know what? Here you go. There's times where I'm like, hey, this one is looking like we have to wait to see who's on top. Shinbi's Ghost Wolves are saying, hey, we remember that rematch of best of 3. We're not even going to let you think this one is going to be close. Absolute great start. Controlling the neutral objectives. Once again, controlling this dual lane and Survivor, picking up kills across the map. And they still have not found an answer at BFO just quite yet.
Oh, most definitely, man. And, you know, I am sure there's a lot of Predecessor left to play. There's a lot of things that could be going down. At this stint, though, you got to wonder. I wonder if SGW is talking about what they want their new sticker stamp to look like. Are they like, you know, what if the spray had 2 crowns on? Like, what if it's 2 wolves? Because we went back to back. Something like that. Because at this moment, the one word you can use to describe this squad is comfortable. If you want 2, I'll give it to you. We're E-squared after all. Dominant in this game.
Man, I don't know, Ego. I mean, they just seem like they know exactly how to play against BFO here. There's still, like you said, a lot of Predecessor left to be played, but it's going to come down to BFO here. They have known that, hey, this Kev Rev is just completely an unstoppable force right now. How do we shut him down? We talked about it a little bit earlier. They need to send everybody. Make that steal, be inside that backline, cause some commotion. With the second Fang Tooth, the third Fang Tooth of the game, this all-out brawl seems to be starting.
We're going to see an ulti being used here by Survivor over onto the back, and as the fight is going to be split over to the left side. A knockback is going to reset her, but a Sephiron's through is going to stab some pretty solid down. Tesla Doom is going to come down onto the head of Electric Boogie. That's going to be a +1 once again going in favor of SGW as Steel is going to be looking awfully soft in the back line. Kev Kaioken picks up the kill before he blinks and picks up another. He has the shoes on. He's moving. He's grooving. He's killing the opposition as 3 fall.
Kev, you didn't need to do that. We understand you're ahead. We understand that you're Rev and you got 1 bullet with their name on it. He secures that kill, able to get out, uses the pacifier with a little bit of juke shoes with style to give them the advantage here. The third Fang Tooth going towards Shinbi's Ghost Wolves. Not only do they have a lead here, Ego, not only do they have the economy, but they have that third Fang Tooth buff. 8% extra damage, 8% extra armor, and 8% more chance to come out on top of this game.
You know, you said they didn't need to do it. I'm gonna have to be a little bit of a contrarian here. Yes, he did. This is Omega Studios. This is Predecessor. This is competitive play. And this is Kev making a statement. He is standing above all right now. They need to find a solution to the problems he's been presenting, or SGW, Kev Kaioken, is gonna run away with this game.
Hey, look, he's running right now. I mean, you already saw him run into that T1 to get that kill. I mean, we thought rotating everybody over was going to do the thing, but then we totally forgot about the Tesla Dome, the disengage that they have there on their side. They also have the Colossal Blow, Empress Tiramisu also making that rotation to separate the fight there with that steal in that back line, creating commotion. He was, but they did not have any damage to really focus him on down, and that did not lead to much. They're going to be looking on the side this off plane to get the Sev, but the blink is on up. But here comes that Sayaka Obliterator. My goodness, the 3-tap there to at least get a kill back into their name. But look at this other side of the map here. You go. Kev searching for another body to put down.
Brother's a predator, man. He just waited on the other side of the fog wall on his knees, begging, praying that you step within range. DB, though, gonna be very smart. Gonna just play it safe, clear, and get the farm he can without overextending. As there's nothing on the map, there's no reason for you to really risk your life, as we're not gonna see Grizzly doing just that, looking towards this tier 2. Luckily enough, everyone else from SGW has shown on this left side, so he'll be able to walk away.
I mean, that's probably the best thing there for BFO right now here. Ego, yes, they don't have that any feint twos towards their name, but they have about 2 minutes here to farm on up, try to catch up in places where they need to at least get ready to contest against this big orb prime. We're looking at the goal differential here. It's going to be up to almost 7K, and we all know where at least 5K is coming from, and that's going to be that Revenant. But there's still some time here for them to get back into the groove of things. If they can even find a lockdown or chain of CC on this Rev, or even the Euro ready to just create some peel, this might be something that opens up the game for them.
I love this. We're able to see the impetus of the counter pick there. Normally that Severance is going to be plenty in order to get a disengage, and there it goes yet again. Another proc in order to negate the ulti, but it's just not enough. As just Row is going to go down onto the backside. It's going to be Revenant looking for the fight. He will find it. That's just going to be the rest of BFO looking for a way out.
Oh, yeah, that's going to be your way out there, Crazy Fool. It's going to be that 4th shot, and Kev is not done quite yet. A double kill to his name as he's running down this TB looking for another. My goodness, we cannot say this enough. Get away from Kev. You do not want that smoke.
Dude, put a 9 in front of his 11 kills, and that's what you need to call. There's been a murder in Sanctuary, and right now, BFO, Bear Force 1 needs any reinforcements they can get. They're looking towards the Prime, and in the past F6, you have said how incredibly powerful, how important it can be to get this Prime early when you have the lead. Could this be the beginning of the end for BFO?
This the beginning? Oh, no. I mean, that first quadra kill was already a death sentence, but it's going to be the contestant here from the server. The shield slam is hit onto this objective, but it is at 4K. They're looking for something, but Survivor picks up Just Row. He's going to be able to capitalize Hunt down on their side.
It is going to be a Bleaked just to die inside the pit. Seraph is going to go down as all 5 survive and are going to walk their way out. It's going to be SGW looking for a reset before they start looking for some tier 2 towers.
I mean, they're going to be looking for tier 2 towers. They're going to be looking for the primordial feint tooth. They're going to be looking for anything that they can grab. This game right now, there's really not too much that they can do wrong other than take too long to close this game on out. BFO, though, they tried to attempt to get the steal there, just was not quite close enough. It was too healthy for them to even get a chance, but it's going to be Rev once again picking up another kill, and this man right now is completely fearless as they look for the primordial feint tooth.
Take a look at the stat split there. You can see that Kev Kaioken is an equal opportunity giver. These bullets are E for everyone. It's not like one member has fallen significantly behind. You got 3 deaths, 4 deaths, then 6 over on the side of the Seraph. If I do recall correctly, it's anyone that steps in front of him is getting stepped on. Kev Kaioken, 10 toes, standing on business within this game.
I mean, hey, he must have got his bachelor's in business management because he sure is doing that here, Ego. And now the siege is happening. There's not really too much that I can do to stop here. The Argus is down for another 5 seconds. They're going to have to give up this T2. More than likely give up this inhibitor on the left-hand side. But look at this. The Soulstorm hits and they pick up another. Make that 2.
Oh, my Lord. That